Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MASL in the Box Live with your hosts, Adam, Matt, and Gio.
Everybody get...
Oh, wait, no. I'm actually hearing the... Never mind.
We're live. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Good evening, MASL in the Box, Monday, April 5th, 2021.
Yes.
You have to say it that way. You can't say 2021 because it's like saying 2021 and like you or something. So
Right. Sure.
very important. So happy birthday to my mom. She's I don't know how old she is. I'm not going to say either.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Mom.
She also won't ever watch this, so everyone say
There you
happy
go.
birthday to her so she never says anything. Or
says
now you have video proof you said it.
right.
So
So
And then you could send it.
I'm covered. I'm covered there.
yeah,
There you go.
So an interesting weekend of games.
It was a marvelous weekend.
To start at 9:30 in less than an hour, Filly and Panda will be joining us live on In the Box. And we even have
10:30 Eastern.
a little place all ready for them to go.
Ooh, I like that color.
I figured it would. I didn't know what to put. I didn't want to put green because green seemed weird. Green seemed like it was a Dallas color, but that light blue seemed kind of neutral.
You should have went with... Never mind. I'm red. Never mind.
I was gonna go with Ontario Fury colors, but then I didn't know if we were gonna have anyone else on,
Yeah.
and then I didn't want to
so
keep changing them.
You should have just had GOB green.
No. You could have made me yellow. Oh, wait. Never mind.
It's there's many facets of the color choice. It's Utica City, it's Blast, it's Wave, it's blue, red, yellow primary colors. It's Feng Shui or I don't know what that even means, but it's that.
From Chua?
Yes, that thing too. So
What's going on?
there was like one major question over the weekend, and like all these games are really close. I think out of what do we have? 10 playoff games. We had like 17 one-goal games. We had like 34 overtime games, and we had 2 mini games. Is that right? I think that was close.
No, yeah, I thought it was just the one mini game.
But it was 34 overtime games then, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's hard to predict these things. And our friends Eric and Nick had a short conversation about that. And let me play that for you here.
All right, Nick Vassos, I'll ask you again, who's going to be the hero?
Good answer, Nick. I think I feel the same. I mean, I could do picker wheel, or I could just set up a hotkey for every time you ask me a hard question.
So that's going to be the whole conversation?
What was the question again? I like this way better.
Yeah.
Oh, Nick.
Sorry,
No,
Nick.
but it was an awesome weekend, to be honest. If you were too busy watching other sports, first, shame on you. Second, I feel bad for you because it was just amazing.
What other sports? There were no other sports. There were no other sports. Oh, do you mean?
Yeah, that.
Okay.
Have a corn
No,
dog.
but seriously, it was awesome. I was first of all, thank you to the teams that participated and just the players, coaches, everything, the performances, the show that you guys put on, Eric, Nick, everyone. It's really awesome. Really appreciate it. It was amazing.
It was something. So I'm looking at the games. There were essentially 5 games with the mini game,
Yeah.
and they were all 1-goal games.
Yep.
Mhm.
And 34 of them went into overtime. Of the 5 games, 34 went to overtime.
34 of them.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the MASL needed or wanted to get more fans to watch, this weekend was the perfect example.
Yes.
It had everything.
Basketball. I've never heard of basketball before. Must be
Wait,
new.
what?
Yeah, I
Something
think
new.
what is it called? The best base
Basketball?
basketball?
I think it's French.
What is this basketball you speak of?
It stands for, it means watching the last 5 minutes of a sporting event to see who wins. That's what it translates to.
Oh, okay.
Basketball.
I guess there was some basketball going on this weekend. I don't know. It was all soccer.
Yeah, it was. For me, it was. That's all I watch.
For me, it was, even though this weekend the Golden State Warriors had one of their worst losses ever. I think they lost by like 52 or 53 or something like that. So, congrats, Golden
Now
State.
that and a soccer game would be interesting.
Yes, that's any team versus like us.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Slow down.
No, yeah, I
Slow
agree.
down.
I agree.
Slow down.
You can't even play. You have a bad knee. I
Exactly.
have a bad
So you can't include me.
right. So it's Matt a goalie and me just standing there hoping not to get hurt.
You know what I hope, and you know what another key factor would be in that? The balls that are that are kind of
Slippery balls.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
Slippery
God.
balls.
Yeah. To be honest, I didn't even know how he even got through that whole situation. Sorry to look back, but I am still astonished to the fact that he didn't crack up.
He was talking about it in the chat a couple weeks ago, and I don't know how he did it either. It was amazing.
Yeah.
There were a lot of amazing things there, and because you could tell he was teasing it. He said, "Oh, a bit of investigative reporting here." And Phil's like, "Well, what do you find?" And he's like, "Well, we found there's a controversy." Okay, what do you find? By then, I lost it. I would have been just
Slippery balls.
and that would have been it.
Seriously.
But so this weekend, it was, like it reminded me of the All-Star game, just being back in Kansas City and seeing some of the players and owners, and just thank you once again to Kansas City for extending their hospitality.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
I
Show us the back of your jersey there.
All right. Well, I'll do what I did the last time.
Keep your clothes on, please. Wait.
Whoa, buddy. Whoa.
How do we-
Whoa.
I'm wearing an
Turn-
undershirt. Y'all calm down.
Slow down. It's not that kind of a party.
Y'all calm down.
Well, while he's doing that.
I'm done.
Okay. Well, while he did that.
So it's Nick's. I'll stand up and show you that part.
Yeah.
And then he autographed it. Well, I'll just move it up.
Wait, is that a microphone?
You're such a...
Where? Oh, over here.
Is that a microphone? Oh, wait. You know what that is?
Have a corn dog, Adam.
I want a corn dog, Mr. Corn Dog.
So the story behind that is the second day. It was right before Florida, San Diego. And Eric was talking about his jersey, and he goes, well, I wrote timeout on my jersey. And I go, well, wouldn't it be funny if Nick drew a picture of Nick, draw a picture of a corn dog if you could. And he's like, I hope you realize it may not look like a corn dog. I go, that's perfectly fine. Just draw your best corn dog.
It's a microphone. It's not
That's
a.
exactly what it is.
Exactly, that's what it is.
So to talk about the games, well, not the games, the sport.
sport.
Yeah. I know all the 4 teams had loanees or players loaned, whatever. But to think about the coming season, not everyone, like most of the core makeup of each team will be there next season, if you really think about it, with the exception of Ian Bennett.
Sorry, Florida fans.
So
Having too much fun with this.
everybody else will keep their core team. So to think about that and think about the performances they put on this weekend, I'm super excited to see next season. And not even just that, Harrisburg Heat. Can you the players, the performances they've been putting on? It's ridiculous.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, watching Dominic Francis over the last umpteen years playing in Harrisburg, I mean, I knew he was going to be great in Kansas City. He definitely showed it this weekend. What do you have, 5 or 6 goals? I was most impressed with Mike DeSilva.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say.
He's got, I mean, strength, speed, you name it. He's all over the place. And I think, and I hate to say this, Gio, but it would not surprise me if he stayed in Kansas City.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if he comes back, I know what he's done is going to speak to the coaching staff, especially given there's a new coach and everything. So I think it'll be good for him. But if he decides to stay, I wouldn't be surprised given the performance and how well he meshed with the team.
Yeah, I think you may see that with James Togba as well, unfortunately for Utica fans. But
what are their contracts like, though?
Oh, I don't know. But I just think Togba was utilized better in Kansas City than he was in Utica.
I was going to say the same thing about Mike. Mike, unfortunately, so it's difficult for the Blast because when Mike was with the Blast, we still had Dantas. We still had Lucas. Well, we still have Lucas, but he was healthy. We had a lot of players, and Daniel was still there, and still is there, kind of. He's coming back from injury, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we had all these players competing for this position, and KC's system is forward, as where the Blast is defensive first, positioning, and then go forward.
But the Blast only has room. The Blast only has room on their field to go forward once. They can't go forward.
But we're a defensive team. We've always been a defensive team. So it wasn't his style. If we look at it, how many times did Mike get the ball? A lot more than he would have at the Blast in Baltimore. And also, like I said, there was a lot of players that were already in that position that could play that way. Dantas only needed the ball 3 times to produce, where Mike, it's not that he doesn't produce with 3 balls, but it's just not his style.
Yeah. When he was in Milwaukee, the last year he was there was the championship year, and there was so much talent on that team. There were 5 or 6 guys that could start now that were not even roster players. There were a couple of bubble players, and there were a couple that, past that. I think I kind of wish he would have waited a year. I'm glad he didn't for himself, for Wave fans, and for me. I'm sad he did, but
Have a corn dog, Adam.
No, I think Mike can talk about it. The way they meshed with the team and the way they were playing was crazy. Dom Francis, yeah, he played very well and played great for them. Came up with some big moments, but we saw him do that at Harrisburg, right?
Yeah,
he was important at Harrisburg. Togba and Mike really came into their form this season. For me personally,
I've said this before. It looked like the Comets team that we used to play every year in the playoffs and just get blown out of the water every year. There was one year where the Wave only lost to one team, but it was 6 times. It was Kansas City. Actually, back then it was the Missouri Comets, but same team, same thing. But yeah, so they only lost to one team the entire season, but it was enough to knock them out of the playoffs, and just they could never figure that out. And they finally did after Casey went 20-0, and then Milwaukee beat them in the playoffs. So there's that. But yeah, it looked like that team again, where they can pack it in and they can play defense, but then as soon as they get a counter, it's just off to the races, and nobody can keep up with them.
So I want to pose a question to you guys. And this is, I don't know how you guys are going to think about this, but given what happened with the Tropics, we won't spoil it because we haven't reviewed it, but would you still give Ian Bennett the MVP? Or would you say he's the top candidate?
Adam, do you want to just play that clip real quick? Because that's my answer.
So if we're going to do it like every other season, which why not? Because there's nothing really different in this season than any other season we've had. You don't consider playoffs in the MVP or honorable team standings. So in that case, I think, yeah. There are probably 5 or 6 players you could give it to, though.
I agree. I think he needs to get it because all respects to Frank, all respects to Stinson, all respects to Charlie, all respects to Adam James, all respects to a lot of players, right? I could keep naming players, boom, boom, boom. But for me, to see Ian go to Florida, a new team, granted he had Vandegrift, Drew Ruggles, whatever. But to see him go to a team and still be the star that he is, still produce the level that he does, there's no question about it. There shouldn't be a question about it. He should have the MVP. Who else?
I mean, you mentioned Adam James, and I would, if I were, I think Ian would be third on my ballot. I think you have to look at Adam James, and you'd have to look at Clayson DeLima. I think if going into the season, Ontario's Achilles heel was goalkeeping. Like we said it, since Toth left to go to Tacoma, we were completely undecided. We didn't know what was going to happen with their goalkeeping. We knew they had a solid team. We just didn't know in the back end who was gonna be there. And Clayson DeLima came out of nowhere and just played amazing this season, and it carried over into the playoffs. I know we're not talking about the playoffs.
Never heard of playoffs. Do you consider a goalkeeper for MVP though, or do you have a separate goalkeeper of the year award? You
can have. I mean, in baseball, you can have a pitcher be the MVP. Okay. So why not?
I don't think you can write off a keeper for MVP. But I guess my counter to that would be, but look at who he has in front of him, right? Keeping that goal out, or keeping, I'm not taking anything away from Clayson DeLima because he's a phenomenal player, had a great season. I'm glad he got to do what he did this season, and I'm pretty sure he will be the number one going forward.
Oh, yeah.
With that said, though, he didn't keep out Ian Bennett. He didn't put the record that Ian Bennett put for Florida. Because had Ian Bennett not produced the way he did, could we say the same that Florida would have been the regular season champion?
You have to look, and this is where like the most valuable player issue kind of, like, what does it mean? Does it mean statistically? Or like I see it as, if I were to take out, let's say, for example, take out Ian Bennett. You still have a list of players that team has. If you take Clayson DeLima out, you have Chuy Molina, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
I get that. But here's the thing. Florida had that list of players that didn't produce.
Right.
If Ian Bennett was not there, would they have been that productive?
Theory Possibly. Is that somebody would have stepped up, but I think they lost their chemistry towards the end of the season. Maybe it has to do with the fact they only played 2 games in a month and a half or 6 weeks or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But I think for you mentioned the 3 on Ontario, Frank, Charlie, and Justin. I think the problem there is with naming either one of them is you can't really name one of them individually.
Exactly.
And I think that was the same reason why neither Max nor Ian won MVP in Milwaukee, because they were like a tandem. And
Exactly.
you can't, if you split the votes, you can't get a majority at that point. So I think that's the problem with Ontario. I wonder if you really look at MVP, can you give it to a team that didn't do all that great? Like a D'Souza in Dallas.
Absolutely.
Because without him, they would have been just completely annihilated.
I'm
Not that
gonna
they
go
weren't
back
anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to a baseball reference. I believe back in the
What's that?
this is a back in the 80s. So just
What's that?
a second.
I don't have the Wang Chung tonight sound effect here.
Back in the I believe it was in the 1980s, the Chicago Cubs had an awful year. And they also had the MVP on their team, Andre Dawson. So it is possible, and D'Souza definitely did have a great season. So you could throw him in the mix as well.
So I'm not disagreeing with anything you guys saying, because all valid points. But my thing is, if Ian doesn't get it now, we could potentially lose one of the best talents. Like, let's say he decides to retire.
Never going to happen.
I'm just saying, just hypothetical here. Stick with me.
No. Then
we're gonna have a player retire of that caliber, never win the MVP.
Yeah, I mean it's. I think he should have won it at least twice.
Look at Matt.
But he won a championship.
But he won a number of championships.
He's won a number of championships. Like if I don't know if you would rather have a championship under your belt or a most valuable player. I mean, I personally would rather have a championship.
Yeah, of course. I think everyone in the league would personally rather have a championship. But just sticking to him on a personal level, I feel like he deserves it, man. Like, he's been productive for so many years and hasn't dropped off. And given the test he went through this year, where everyone was against Florida, and he still produced, why not?
People are making the comments though, who's gonna feed the passes to Ian for all those easy goals?
Exactly.
I think they realize that, that's really not what happened. His goal against San Diego in the playoffs this last weekend, the double nutmeg,
which was awesome,
which was ridiculous. I asked Eric during the broadcast, I'm like, how many? I find the stat for how many multiple nutmeg goals there have been in the playoff history, because there were like 5 of them over the weekend or whatever it was.
I was going to say, because Ontario responded with their very own. That's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, let's get to the games.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
That was a loaded question.
Yeah, so let's start with let's just dive right into it. Tropics Soccers.
That's the game I wanted.
Thank you, Nick. So, Soccers Tropics, of course, we all know all 5 games this weekend. Well, 4 1/4 games this weekend were in Kansas City. Best broadcast in the league, best announcing team in the league, best turf in the league this year by far. Ontario's turf looks good, but it's not blue, so I mean that just doesn't look as cool. I kind of want to get my walls painted the color of Kansas City's turf, but I think every time I walk in here and turn the lights on, I'll get just blinded.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So, first game, Soccers win 5-4. And I apologize. There were so many overtime games this weekend. I don't remember which ones went in overtime. That one did.
Who scored it? Was it Gutierrez?
Gutierrez, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
He did. He scored both of them.
Yes. No, it was Farber from Gutierrez.
Right. Sorry. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Gutierrez scored 4 to make it tie 4-4, and then Farber put away the goal, the overtime goal.
No, you're mixing up your games. Tavoy Morgan scored to make it tied.
No,
Am I mixing
Gutierrez
my games?
scored the overtime one. Or no, Gutierrez scored the winning goal
In the second game.
in the second game.
I
So
am mixing up my games.
in the middle of both of these games, I was like, these San Diego 3 to 4 games have to go. Something has to happen. But then I realized, holy crap, this has been really entertaining. But I thought of a really cool, crazy, ridiculous rule. What if we had a rule that nobody could win unless they scored 7 goals?
What? No.
So if it's still 4 to 3 at the end of regulation, you go into overtime games until somebody scores 7.
Do you know how long those games would be?
No,
I'd still be in Kansas City right now.
because what would happen?
happen?
Teams. So I wanted someone to find a graphic or make a graphic of this end with 5 Florida players all behind the yellow line. This end, sorry, microphone is in the way. This end with 5 soccer players all behind the yellow line, and the ball just at the middle of the field, and the clock running, and nobody moving. Because it just felt like both of these teams just packed it in. And great, they did a phenomenal job on defense. Both of them, actually, all the teams this weekend did. But it just seemed to me like, what can we do to break this game open? I understand, defense wins championships. All the, the cliches of our lives, and
Have a corn dog, Adam.
to satisfy. I keep my energy up. I need one of these every once in a while.
Have a corn dog, Adam.
Okay.
Got it.
So, but it just seems like if we're talking, they changed the rule to MPS scoring to try to make it more high scoring for us dumb Americans who see a game of 1-0 and say it's boring. So they wanted to make it 23 to 22 and all of a sudden have that be exciting. There's still boring games that are high scoring, but there's more boring games that are low scoring than high scoring, I think. So that's why I was just like, because we've thrown around like the goalkeeper rule that Everton was talking about, and glass up versus glass down, and things to keep the game moving along. But I came up with that. I'm like, what if they have to score 7 goals? And 7 I just kind of came up with. Maybe it's 6, maybe it's 15, maybe it's 110, like basketball. Yeah. But what if the teams know you can't win the game unless you score 7 goals? They're not going to be sitting at 4-3 and not scoring at all in the second half. They're going to be pressing. They're going to be making more attempts because they have to realize, especially if they strategically plan and go, well, crap, we got 3 games in 5 days. We can't afford to just park it and only give up 3 goals and only score 4.
I think personally, this is my personal opinion. I think it's fine the way we are. I think this matchup was the mistake. Well, it was a mistake on Florida's part because
so who do you pick?
Florida, they know how to play defense when they need to, but that's not how they win. Let's talk about that. Obviously, we have the results-oriented thinking saying, okay, they made a mistake picking San Diego because they lost. But you're looking at you don't want to pick Ontario coming off what they did to Kansas City. I mean, I do. If I'm Florida, I do.
Really? What they did to Dallas?
Yeah. So I'll say the same thing I said last week, or was it last week? Yeah, it was last week.
I don't know.
Or whatever week it was. If Florida outplays Ontario because they both play the same when they're on the attack, it's high press up the field. Florida does it better. So when they played Ontario, they proved it. The first time it was a little hiccup because Ontario found their rhythm. The second time, Florida figured it out. Like, okay, we press high, we press high, we press high. And then when we need to, 5 men back.
Yeah.
And they figured it. They figured that small difference because in the first game it wasn't 5 men back. It was 3 guys back, so we can hit on the break. And they figured out, okay, 5 men back, we'll stop them, slow them down, win at the press, and then go score. And look what happened. Florida outplays Ontario because their styles are very similar when it comes to attack. The difference being Florida has a better they have better defense than Ontario does when it comes to 5 men back.
I would have, honestly, if I was Florida, I would have picked Kansas City. Like, I think San Diego, we know defensively they're amazing. Plus they have Boris Pardo, William Vanzella. And Van Zell in the playoffs is pretty much automatic. And we'll get to that in the second game. Ontario and Kansas City are similar. I mean, they're very, very physical.
Yeah.
I think Kansas City is a little less physical, and I think Florida would have played better against that style as opposed to Ontario. So I would have picked Kansas City if I was Florida.
So do you just throw out the home field? I mean, there's an obvious home field advantage for Kansas City, or we perceived.
Yeah, I mean, throw it out.
Okay.
Look, I would look at matchups. I wouldn't look at how well the teams played the week before.
Yep.
I would go with matchups. In Florida picked the worst matchup.
Based on seeding, Florida picked. If it would have been seeded, that would have been the pairing. Florida State.
I know that was a reasoning, but let's call it for what it is. They picked them because they were the worst team, and
they had just had 2 overtime games. And
I mean, that's the way I look at it. They just had 2 overtime games. Childs was out for the first game, and I mean, you're both playing away.
I'm telling you, if Florida would have watched our show and listened to me, they would be in the final.
When does Florida ever? So, okay, you bring up a good point. There were some things said over the weekend, and there were some things said to me personally over the season by a Florida player or 2 or 3 or 4. When we make comments about this, and I'm talking about the 3 of us, I'm not talking about all fans because there are some fans that are a lot different. Probably most fans. My comments are never, ever, 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 ever. I need that in a sound file. Ever, 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 ever directed towards the players.
Agreed.
Absolutely. And when I say things like Florida bought a team, I'm not talking about they're paying their players millions of dollars. I understand when Ricardo said, hey, 99% of us have second jobs. I get that. I'm saying within the sport itself, Florida is way overextended. Their like salary, and we know these numbers based on all sorts of weird inside information we've heard and guesses. Florida's numbers of salary versus ticket sales are way off the charts. They made in one season what Milwaukee would make in one game in ticket sales, and their salary for players is much more. And the question I got was, how would you know how much the players are paid? I don't. I just know the names of the players and what their potential is, and all of them stacked up like this on one team. And then I hear things from that the owner is making waves, and the owner is talking about the playoffs way before anyone else is even figuring out if they can play a season or not. And they're just banking on the fact that, we're going to buy ourselves a championship, and then we're going to just cruise on. That takes absolutely nothing away from how I feel about the players. I love all you guys. Maybe not John Sosa, but even John Sosa. I include John Sosa in that.
I include all players.
I include all players in that. I love the interaction we have, whether they're on our team or not. I've kind of adopted Kansas City as my team this year just because of how well they treated us when we were in there in December. And Matt, you saw that again this last weekend. I want to see good things for the players. My big concern with why I keep calling out Florida is I don't think their model is sustainable. I think eventually what's going to happen is it's going to all come crumbling down, and then you're going to get all these players into the player market, and teams just won't be able to afford it at that point. It'll basically crash the player market, and I don't think it's going to be a good thing. That's why I called to dissolve it before it's too late, before it gets to the point where you're 3, 4, 5 years into this guy running himself into $1 million in debt every year, and finally just, we can't do this anymore, and just crash.
No,
other teams,
there needs to be a salary cap.
There has to be both a salary cap and a salary minimum.
Yes,
because
it can't be one or the other. It has to be
Absolutely.
both.
We hear rumors that teams are paying players $75 a game, and they don't even get paid to go to practice. That's absurd.
if not a salary cap and a salary minimum, at least a agreed upon sustainable budget where you're not exceeding.
Same basic thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But whatever they want to
It
call
needs
it.
to be an even playing field. Of course, this season we didn't really. It kind of fell flat with Florida not making it, but I think it needs to be across the board. I think the salary needs to be the same for this team and every other team.
So before we continue this conversation, let's recap the games.
Yeah, we have 20 minutes before our guests are coming on.
Go.
Well, we can talk about. Can't we talk about the games with them?
We can do that too. Yeah, that's a good point.
We'll just do Florida, San Diego, and then we'll talk about the games with them.
Do you guys play cards?
No.
Yes.
You ever played Hearts?
No.
There's a term in Hearts called Shoot the Moon.
Yep.
So Hearts, basically you try to have to get the lowest amount of points possible. If you get all the points in a hand, you win.
You shoot the moon.
But if you are one card short, you get the most amount of points and you lose. So that's what I feel Florida did. They went for it all. They tried to shoot the moon and they got left with the Queen of Spades. And
you get 13 points for that.
yes.
Yeah, I completely understood your
Let me explain it a little bit differently.
I said going into both of those games, I said the number was 5. I said if Florida scored 5 goals, they would win.
And what were the scores?
Yeah. It was 5-4 in overtime, and then
4-3 in later fourth quarter. So I started saying that about the playing against the Blast when they moved to Towson. I said if you don't score 5 goals against the Blast, don't expect to win. Because how many games? And Gio, you saw how many games did the Blast win 5-4?
Yeah.
Like
None
20,
against
21? It's just like,
Correction. How many games do we still win? Second game?
right. So, and then I was like, you know what? That probably makes sense throughout all of indoor soccer. If you can't score 5 goals, don't expect to win. Sure, there's going to be Milwaukee beating Baltimore 2-1. In the championship game. Is that coming through, by the way?
Yes.
You're just gonna hold on to that? Come on, man.
Forever.
No, but so real quick. Sorry to cut you off. That to speak on this game. Everything I've heard coming out of San Diego, I love because they're saying we accepted who we are, right? When they accepted the fact that they're a defensive team, they found something so beautiful, and Nick and Eric they realized what they're doing. They were being a defensive team, inviting the pressure, and always having either 1 or 2 runners. As soon as we win possession, just jet it. And Florida just didn't realize that that's what they were doing.
Yeah. Brad said it. Yeah, Brad said it a while ago. He said, but San Diego doesn't want it wide open. They played extremely smart because they knew they couldn't run with the Tropics. And it's you play to your strengths or your weaknesses. You can't have, Mr. Bozis, you can't have a team of players. You can't pick the way you want to play and then find your players. You find your players and then you coach the best strategy for those players and those players' skills. And your runner was Brian Farber almost every time.
Yeah. That's how the overtime goal in game 1 got scored.
And like I love my country, Mexico, right? Of course. And the players, the way they play, like, is so visible even in the soccers. It's these crazy, really fine passes, right? Where it's between 2 defenders, or it's a nice little heel, or a pass to the side from someone running up down the other side. And it's just like, just watching Brandon, watching Pino, watching Gutierrez, just watching all that, how well they connect. And then you have Charles, who's in the right place, or Brian Farber making that run. It's literally one slick pass to this side and then a long ball. And it's like, oh my God, like they figured it out.
Yeah.
They figured it out.
They played to their strengths, and they played exactly to the team they were playing. Who was it in the interview? Wasn't it Farber who said we finally figured out who we were? Or was it
So Farber said it.
Salvaggio said it at one point.
Yeah, and also who was it? Brandon and I want to say Pino. They had an interview on Leader Sports in Spanish, and they were talking about it. So it's like it's the whole team coming to this idea, like, okay, this is who we are, this is what we need to do, and this is how we're going to beat Florida.
Yeah,
and that's what happened. Yeah. Florida unfortunately got outplayed.
So let me ask you guys. So after the first game, did you know that the series was over, knowing Van Zell was going to be in net for the second game and possible mini game?
I knew the series was over the moment they announced San Diego was their pick.
Really?
What did I say when?
Oh, here we go. Now we're gonna say.
No, seriously. Like, I fucked around with the whole Dallas situation. Yes, that I will forever continue saying that. But on a serious note, I said it was going to be a California final.
And so going into the playoffs, you look at, obviously Florida had the bye, and there's these three matchups. And we're looking at all the matchups, and it's like, there's no way this final is going to be in California. And I started getting my plea ready for the St. Louis broadcast. Like Shelly, please listen to everything I say here and take 1% of it seriously, and try to help this. I really wanted. My heart wanted a California final. My heart wanted to go back to Kansas City and just play the finals there. But my second heart.
You have two hearts.
It's from all the.
Have a corn dog, Adam.
Okay, whatever. But I thought there was no way at California. And then when the first matches were picked, I'm like, oh, that's it. There's two West Coast teams playing each other. They're gonna knock each other out. It's just there's no way this team's gonna pick that team and this is gonna go that way. So it's just not gonna happen. And then all of a sudden, after the first games on was a Thursday night, it was like, holy crap! There's a chance that a California final could happen.
It's when they made the mistake and picked San Diego, the only team of those that were available was the one they picked that beat them.
So, thank you, Nick. So, Van Zella's quote, which we saw in the opening of, they said we were the worst team, so we don't care who we play. Shouldn't that be your same attitude as the best team? Like, we don't care who we play. We need to potentially beat all of them. We're just going to pick what we think we match up against the best, but it doesn't really matter because we're still going to play and beat whoever we need to play.
That's why I said they should have picked Ontario. If they had that attitude, if they had that mentality, that champion mentality, they would have said, forget it. We're going to pick the best team and we're going to beat them. Because can you imagine the kind of psychological effect that would have had on any team that played them in the semifinals? In the finals? Like, holy crap, they picked number 2 seed and that's who we're playing.
Yeah.
So I guess the answer to my question is yes. You both knew that the series was over.
Sorry, Matt. Yes.
Okay.
So,
all right, I just wanted to double check and make sure.
Before Filly and Panda come on, because this will be a little more awkward if they're on, I want to do a plea to the Ontario production company or personnel that runs the broadcast. So first of all, Filly and Jonathan, don't change anything. You guys were perfect your last 3 or 4 games. If it's Filly and Craig Elston, still don't change anything because Filly and Craig worked really well together. So the announcing part, perfect. Don't change anything. Production guy. And the camera guys, stay with whatever angles you're doing. You guys are doing fine. It's the guy who who presses the buttons and makes,
Have a corn dog, Adam.
I want a corn dog. Oh, Mr. Corn Dog.
All right. He's having a mental breakdown.
It's the guy who presses the buttons. Please spend some time this week watching some of the Kansas City broadcasts and pay attention to when they change camera angles, how long they stay on the not center camera, and what they do for replays, and when they do replays, because that camera cannot change angles when you're making a pass across the mouth of the goal.
Yeah.
You cannot sit from behind the goal and watch during a live broadcast of the game. It has to be that center camera. You can't do a replay right after someone takes a shot when they still have the ball on the offensive side of the field. Like, I'm begging you, you have all the material right in front of you. Watch Kansas City games. They get it right all the time. So there's my plea.
So my plea is more for next season as opposed to this season. Have replay throughout and make set rules, because as a fan, I had no idea what was going on with the replays.
Well, and it was worse for you because you weren't listening to the broadcasts.
Yeah. I mean, I knew that there was a referee up there with Nick and Eric, and they were kind of talking it over and whatever. But there were a few times where the challenge flag was thrown, ref came over, was like, "Oh, that's not challengeable." And like it didn't make any sense. So I think there needs to be more clarity when it comes to replays. I like the idea.
Yeah.
I think it just needs to be more clarity, and then maybe like, hey, this is the reason why this team is challenging, and maybe have the PA announcer.
There was one time where someone threw a flag and essentially picked it back up again, and they were like, no, you don't want to challenge that. Forget it. We changed our mind. I think it was Florida.
There was a couple. There was one in Ontario, or it was Stefan Stokic for Kansas City, and then Clay Roberts in Florida.
Oh, but that Stefan Stokic, he did it and he retracted it. What the reason he did it, which I have mixed feelings about, but he did it to slow the game down. So it was a foul on Casey. He threw the flag because Ontario was going to do a quick start. So he threw the flag in order to stop that quick start.
Yeah, but
and then immediately he retracted it.
You shouldn't be able to do that. If you throw the flag, it should be out and done, unless it's a play that's not challengeable, which that list of plays, you heard Jonathan go through them all. It took him like 5 minutes to list off the things. And on top of that, Matt, what you brought up, what we found is, there's goal judges in all the games of the playoffs. That was never announced anywhere. And close goals are automatically reviewed by the refs and don't need to be challenged.
Yep.
But that was never written, or I mean, they put a press release out of all the things that could be challenged.
And they still Florida still challenged the final goal of the first game.
Well, and the handball goal from Childs was not challenged or was not reviewed.
No, it was reviewed. It was a review, and they said it was.
Okay, so
it was not reviewed.
Well, because Eric and Nick said it was quickly reviewed, and they just said it was a goal.
There was no challenge.
There was no challenge, but did the refs review it?
Right. So the refs.
There was no sort of challenge or review of any sort.
There was either Ryan Sigich or Rich Grady were up with Nick and Eric, and maybe one of and they had the headpiece or the headpiece.
Right. They were the ones watching it, and Nick was like, Ryan. No. What's the other one? Not
Rich.
Ryan.
Rich.
Yeah.
Ryan Sigich
he was like he has to do some work now when the whole Childs thing happened, and they reviewed it and they said no, it was good.
Okay, so the refs never went over to the side and reviewed the monitor, but the guy upstairs did.
Yeah,
but still, I mean, there's
no, that should have been a challenge regardless. The players wanted it.
Yeah,
but Clay kept it in his pocket, but they did show the thing was. They actually did show the replays over the boards or whatever, the video boards, so you can see it. I thought it wasn't going to happen, but they're like, oh, forget it. And that's what kind of led to some of the replays happening. Is the player looked at the ref and said, "Look at that," and they're like, "Okay, well, I guess we could take a look at it."
But if you don't show the replays over the boards, what are the fans going to do? Do they just sit there and go and not see the replay at all? I mean,
in majority of the sports, they show replays on the big screens.
Majority of the sports, they see the exact same things the ref sees in the same real time that the ref sees them.
Exactly. So
like
in outdoor soccer, when a questionable play is there, even if the play continues, they will still replay it on the top.
Yeah.
Adam, are you getting the messages that I'm getting?
I'm getting the messages that you're getting. Why don't we do this? Have we talked? Do we need to go over anything more, or are we good for our first segment?
No, I mean we all knew once San Diego won the first game, they were going to win the series with Van Zella and net.
We did.
Played a great game, and they pretty much did the same thing to beat Florida in game 2.
So why don't we do this? Let's take a quick break, and then and we'll come back with Filly and Panda in honor of our good friend Eric Bergrud. We're gonna take a timeout. Ta-da!
Hey guys.
Oh, look at that.
What's going on?
How's it going?
Hello.
Happy Monday.
Welcome.
We're all laggy. Can you guys hear us fine?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yeah, just on our screen, we look like we're moving this pace of molasses.
Yep.
Seems
Join the
like
club.
delay.
Okay. I mean, as long as you could hear us and partially see us, or at least partially see her. More people want to see her than me anyway.
Yeah, when you watch this on YouTube, it'll be like nothing. Nothing happened. It'll go fine.
What is this?
So what is what?
What is that?
It's cat hair. It's cat hair. But it's not just it's not just the two of us. We brought a friend.
Oh,
Look
yes.
at you.
Well, I got to dress him up.
There you go.
There you go.
I had glasses for one of the corn dogs on the broadcasts. I think Jonathan stole that corn dog from me, by the way. But yeah, we got a corn dog, and it's Panda and I. So good evening, everybody out there.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah.
Glad you guys were able to join.
Absolutely.
So anything interesting happened this weekend, or?
Well, Panda got a Peloton, so that was interesting.
Ooh, yeah.
That's the kind of news we're here for, guys.
That's
I'm
right.
doing that every morning at 4:30 before work, so that's been fun.
And we had an earthquake this morning as she was Pelotoning. As she
Oh.
got done, she's like, "Hey, did
Whoa,
an
wait.
earthquake
That doesn't sound good.
Well, it was a 4.0 on the Richter scale, which is laughable in places like New Zealand. I mean, I didn't feel it at all. I didn't even wake up from it. But yeah, we
So
had a little.
it was not because of the Peloton. It was somewhere else.
It might have been more from my snoring than the Peloton.
There you go.
It did adjust my seat down about 2 notches. I was like, "Whoa!"
Oh.
What
That's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's like, some extreme stationary biking happening in the house today. It's fun.
I see. So,
Yeah.
so guys, here's the important question. How do you feel?
Yeah.
Ladies first.
Oh, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, well, if you listen to our podcast, I'd celebrated pretty hard that night. I mean, that was
Yeah.
I mean, aside from the fact that, it's obviously our team that's going to the playoffs, final, it was just a great game in general. And I said this as well on the podcast, like when you see 2 teams at that level playing like that, it doesn't matter how invested you are. It's just fun to watch. And it was fun to watch, but also very stressful. So thankfully we have moved past that. And now we get to start a new level of stress.
Yeah, but I kind of want to enjoy this for a little while because, I mean, those games were nerve-wracking. I mean, the whole playoffs have been nerve-wracking. The series against Dallas, we think we're off to a comfortable lead, and then, we're chewing at our cuticles because Dallas is clawing their way back into the game. So that had stress within the round itself. And this one had the exact opposite effect in the sense that now instead of taking a comfortable lead, we're battling from behind on both occasions and down to the wire. I mean, from a non-biased perspective, it had to have been the most exciting of the 2 series, without a doubt.
Without not even a question. Yeah.
And it wasn't
It
wasn't just the 2 regular games. It was the mini game as well. Ontario was down 1-0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Dominic Francis was an animal throughout the course of that series. I think it was you, Gio, who must have posted on Twitter about how Harrisburg is going to be really exciting to watch next season. They got a lot of great players, and their talents were clearly on display. But that mini game, I got to tip my hat off to George DeLeon and Uzi Tai scoring goals. It wasn't Frank, it wasn't Charlie, it wasn't Mike Cohn. It was Uzi, Machine Gun Uzi, and George DeLeon. It was really cool to see those boys get on the boards because we talk about the Franks and the Charlies and the Mike Cohns and Justin the Stinger Stinson. That'll be my nickname for him.
There you go.
But to see Uzi, to call another Tayu name out there, and he got 3 goals in the postseason. Like, good on him. Just fun stuff. And we're going to the finals, and the finals are in our backyard. Backyard meaning 42 miles away, but we're
Big backyard.
Yeah, it's a really big backyard. But no, we're super pumped.
So this is history for you guys, right? This is the first time you guys are in the Ron Newman Cup. The last time you guys played the Sockers in the postseason, it was for the Pacific Championship. So it's going to be interesting to see who pulls it. You know, whoever, regardless of who wins, for me, it's going to be an exciting game. But what do you guys see? Well, first of all, I'm sure you guys want Ontario to win, but
No.
What gives you that
What gives
idea?
you that idea?
right. But what do you guys think is the difference, or what will be the difference for the teams?
So what I can say is San Diego's getting hot at a very dangerous time. I mean, ever since that Dallas game where they put up 9 goals on the board, I mean, San Diego looks great in that sense, and they're getting contributions across the board throughout the course of their season. It was Escoto and Leo making all the damage.
Right.
Coming into this game, it's Pollo who's their leading scorer. They're getting, I mean, Craig Charles is getting on there. Brian Farber is getting points. Of course, you're going to have Escoto and De Oliveira on there. I mean, Taylor Walter Bond made his impact felt right away, and Tavoy Morgan has been a joy for that team. And of course, Van Zella having the better save percentage of the 2 keepers. They're getting, Baltimore Blast right there. They're a dangerous team, and this isn't the same team that we beat down in Florida 5-1. This is a rejuvenated soccer team, and it's going to be a battle. But if I could say something selfishly, we're going to make history not only in our own building, but against our arch rivals from 117 miles down south. Would be an epic way to conclude the season.
Oh yeah, I feel like we need some theme music here. All right, sorry. I figured out how to do a soundboard in this software, and now we got all the commercials going.
Yeah, that definitely sounded like an MASL intro. I thought you were going to play the Ontario Fury Airport commercial music for a second.
Welcome to Ontario International Airport.
Oh no.
If you've ever heard this one.
It's the old baby one. Oh,
it's the donut commercial and the pizzeria donut commercial.
We're kind of having a tough time hearing the music on our end. So
okay.
I'm putting my ear closer to the mic as if the mic is going to be louder for me.
Right.
I'll put a compilation together and send them to you guys. You'll appreciate that.
We will.
So your man Charlie Golasso, as you like to call him, is leading right now in points. That's amazing. That for me, he's been one of like the hidden gems for you guys, because last season he wasn't the one scoring all the goals or the one getting all the points, but he was definitely directing traffic. And now it's like visible. Does that worry you guys?
Worry us? I mean, look, he's averaging I had to double check. He's averaging 3.2 points per game. I mean, he's having an outstanding season. Frank's the go-to guy. Charlie is like the point guard, the quarterback. He's going to make things happen one way or another. And you know, Frank's having a great season in the sense that he's letting other players contribute. He's scoring goals. He's leading the team in goals right now within the postseason. So he's
playing defense.
What's that?
He's playing defense.
He's playing defense. He's distributing the ball. Like Frank's taking care of business, and it's allowing other people to step up. You don't want to rely solely on that one guy. And I mean, this is a guy who a couple seasons ago had 70 goals. It's one heck of a guy to rely on. But Charlie's looking great. Mike Cohn is having an all-star caliber kind of a year. Justin Stinson is looking really good. And George De Leon taking care of business. He's been another welcome addition. I talked about how the Sockers had a total team effort, but the Fury players are getting on the boards as well. Topete's getting assists. Gonçalves, I think he's got 4 points in the playoffs right now. I mean, we're getting total team effort from across the board. There aren't that many players on our roster that have played more than one game and haven't notched a point.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
So I don't know if you guys were able to hear this. So in the second game, Ontario was down like 4-2, and Frank scored. And he took the ball, slammed it down, and then said, "We are not losing this mother effing game. We're not."
Frank's saying that. I don't believe it.
Oh yeah, you could. It was so loud in Kansas City that you could hear it, and I think what Kansas City did was poke the bear a little bit, both games, because Frank turned it on just like that, and the other players just went with it. And
That second game, Frank had that Monterrey shape, right? He was just playing out of this world, man. It reminded me of his days when he was at Monterrey, where he was playing defense, he was distributing, he was being a threat, he was putting goals away. It was just the full Frank, the four-time MVP Frank.
Minus the bleached blonde hair, you're absolutely right.
That's right.
We speak to each other ever so often on social media, and he's one of those people. I mean, you read a story like this, the book The Secret, The Laws of Attraction. That man lives that day by day. When he has his mind set on something, like there's nothing that's going to stop him from accomplishing that goal. And he's thirsty to bring home that trophy. He said it before the season even began. That's what he wants to do. That is his end result goal of the season, is to hoist a Newman and bring that to the Inland Empire. And that is a man that I truly believe in every single word that he has to say, because he says it with such power and conviction. I don't doubt that that's going to be the case. But, of course, we have a tough battle ahead of us going up against a team that's getting hot at the right time.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. And a team that knows who they are and who's obviously scouted well and game plan well for this last weekend. And granted, every game we had, there were 4 1/4 games this last weekend. They were all 1-goal games. The double overtime and then the single overtime and the mini game for you guys. I
think our conditioning won us in that one.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, in the beginning of the season, you guys were saying this team is conditioned. That's the one thing they do. And Jimmy Norberg is like, well, we're going to run and then we're going to run some more. And then when we're done with that, we're going to run some more. And it really showed. And I hate to say it, Kansas City started out the season, I think 3 of the first 4 games they gave up 3-goal leads in the fourth quarter. And that's what kind of happened to them. I don't want to say they fell apart. I think they just got outplayed in the last second half of each game. But I mean, they still were able to come back and win and force a mini game. So it was the closest match in the playoffs this so far. And we were kind of saying that like Florida and San Diego had kind of the same kind of game plans, and KC and Ontario had the same kind of game plans, where it was more, KC and Ontario just kind of run and gun. And I think Ontario obviously pulled it off better. It was the game-winning goal in the mini game. I was running down, and it's like, and I think Nick said, "Oh, Tayu." I was like, "Oh, Frank has it. This is putting him away." And he's like, "Uzi," and I'm like, "Oh boy." And then he just nails it, and it was a great shot. It wasn't like a lot of defenders you'll see him kind of shoot and it kind of goes out. It was straight in, solid shot, upper 90, the whole deal. And watching him do that was kind of great, because he's been almost like the third announcer for a lot of the KC broadcasts this season, talking back and forth to Eric on social media.
Yeah,
it was kind of cool to see that. I mean, I was kind of an adopted KC fan. But having no team in the league was a lot, I think, better, for the 3 of us. I think it was really fun to do this without having to, like what do we do on a Monday when, the Wave beats Utica City, 7-4, beats the Blast 15-2 or something like that. How is this show going to go? But I think the 3 of us just being able to watch as fans was great. And it was sad for me to see KC lose, but it was really happy meeting you guys and meeting some of the players. We met Uzi and Charlie in KC in December, or Brian Aguilar, as we call him.
I was about to say that.
I remember that story.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just, I met Robert Palmer for the first time. He actually told me about the practices. Met Frank Tayu for the first time during the celebration. So it was kind of cool to meet them finally. And I got to watch the practice, Ontario's practice on Saturday. So
yeah,
a lot of interesting experiences.
They're all such nice, humble guys. I mean, I've spent quite a bit of time with them since we got to have matches at Toyota Arena. I mean, they're a great group of guys, and there are no egos. They're a collective unit. They're always together. I mean, they genuinely have respect, love, and admiration for one another, and that's a big thing. I mean, in any kind of professional sport, you can put some of the greatest players on one team, and you're going to have egos that are going to be there, and people aren't necessarily going to gel, but they have that collective ambition of winning, and it shows. I mean, it bled over from last season, and there were times where I'm not going to say I was 1,000% confident that we were going to get this far. I mean, there were lapses, but they pulled through, and it's a championship team. They proved that they have that caliber. Just being down and facing the adversity that they faced against Kansas City, they clawed back. They worked together. They battled and they fought hard, and they never stopped believing that they can move on to the next round. And it's just a testament to how hard they worked. I mean, they're well coached. We said it, well conditioned, and from an even more biased perspective, I genuinely have nothing but love and respect for all those players individually as human beings. So I want them to do well. And I mean, we've gotten to spend some time with Joseph the Jet Kyrell's family as well. I know they're watching very, very closely. Justin Stinson was roommates with Joseph the Jet. I mean, I know it's a little bit more than just hoisting up a trophy. Obviously, that's the end result, but there's so many emotions that have gone into the season. So I want them to win just because of that, our personal relationship with all of them as well.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback on that, so after Ontario won the mini game, I got to go down on the field, and I kind of took a couple pictures, and I was outside of the huddle, but all they were talking about is like winning this for the Jet, and it was really, really emotional. And then afterwards, I was out back towards the locker rooms, and you could tell Justin Stinson was super emotional, like so excited to win, and you could tell he was playing for the Jet, and he was thinking about him because he had tears in his eyes, and it was really, really a touching moment, really, after the game.
It's a powerful thing to put all your energy into playing like for something like that. It's one thing to say, "Oh, I want to win a championship because I want to win a championship," and that. But if you have that extra thing and you're thinking, "Oh, maybe he's looking down on us," or whatever all the kind of cliche things are, but it really means a lot as a team if you've been striving for this whole thing. I think you made a good point about the adversity. How many times I'm thinking we were just talking about it earlier. KC went 20-0 one year and lost to the Wave in the playoffs. Monterey went 23-1 and lost the Wave in the championship. I'm bringing up the Wave a lot here, but we've had other teams go.
It's a pattern.
Almost almost run out the season and fall short. San Diego did it against Monterey, and I think those key losses really, really helped define a team and help them go. Because it looked like Ontario was going to walk in and just walk over everybody in those first 5-6 games. And then they lost one, and it was, oh, well, okay, so they can lose. Somebody can beat them, and they didn't look great in the loss. For how many ever number of reasons, all road games, a lot of traveling, things like that. But still, you have that to build on. And I talked to a youth coach years ago who said, you never want your youth team to be a 0-win team or an undefeated team. As a youth coach, you're always aiming for that 500 mark because you learn almost more from the losses than you do from the wins. And I think these guys really, you could really tell they stepped it up and they didn't crumble at any point. Even in the losses, they didn't crumble. Like you said, they came back from, it was 3-0 both games, and then 1-0 in the mini game, and they came back from that, and they never looked panicked or you'll see teams kind of start getting after each other and getting mad, kind of looking at you, St. Louis, kind of not. When they start losing and they just kind of blaming and pointing fingers and getting mad and hitting the wall and things like that. And you never saw any of that with this team. It was just pick yourselves up and do it. We know we can do it.
They knew all along what the end result was supposed to be, and that was to win it. So by any way or means necessary, I think that they were going to do that. If it was coming from behind or holding a lead, I think they knew that they were going to win it. I don't doubt that for a second. I mean, like you said, we talk to these guys on social media from time to time, and the confidence that they have and the drive and, the motivation that's there for them, it's going to take a lot to bring them down. So I think San Diego definitely has a tough task in front of them. I mean, It's going to be a great game, I think. I think both teams are actually well conditioned. I mean, San Diego has won in overtimes, and
Yeah.
they're no stranger to going into extra time. So, that's certainly not going to be the factor, in these two matchups, I don't think. So
The fact that they were able to basically hold Florida down the way they did. I mean, Tropics were what, a 6-goal a game averaging team, and for them not to score more than 4 goals over the course of the two games. I mean, that's crazy in its own right. I mean, they're only averaging what, 5 and change. I think the Fury are averaging a little over 7. I mean, if they could hold things down, we'll see what happens. Their power play, they're almost at 70%. They've been outstanding though in that regard. I mean, the Fury, I mean, if there is an Achilles heel that they have, is they haven't been the greatest at killing the penalties. So that's and San Diego looks good when they have the 6th attacker or the power play. So those are all things to take into consideration. But they know each other. They the Fury, it's the team that they always mark on the calendar. Maybe the Sockers don't view it as much of a rivalry because, well, they have dominated it over the course of history. But for us, it's definitely the Sockers. We don't look beyond the Sockers to anybody else as a rival. And again, just the idea of potentially celebrating when that final game is going to happen, if it's in our building against the Sockers. I mean, there's going to be I mean, if you thought Panda was hungover on the last podcast, wait till you hear the next one after the championship.
That's hilarious.
Are you guys even going to have a voice?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
We'll sound like a
3-pack-a-day smoker for 50 years from the Midwest.
My name's Lorraine. Just like
she works in the diner.
Cigarette coming right out of her esophagus.
So fun fact, here's a token for you guys. This is, so me and Juan were talking about this on Facebook earlier today. This is the first time true West teams, not Central teams like Dallas or teams in Mexico that are considered part of the West Conference or Pacific Conference. But this is the first time true West teams will play for the Ron Newman Cup.
Wow.
That's insane.
Exciting.
And another interesting thing, I was talking to Craig Elston about this. Apparently, I think this could potentially be the 4th, if Ontario were to win, this would be the 4th time a Frank Tayu team could potentially beat the Sockers. He was on the Legends. I think it was 13-14, maybe that year. He knocked him out when he was a part of Sonora. He knocked him out when he was a part of Monterey. And, well, as the cliche goes, history does have a way of repeating itself, and that's what we're hoping.
Yeah. See, you made a comment earlier about the power play and penalty kill, and normally normally we've seen East versus West, and I keep bringing up the Wave. The season the Wave won it, there were no East versus West games until the finals. So it was physical, but it wasn't full of penalties. But these two teams don't like each other. They know each other really well, and this is really a first for our, like you just said, for our lifetimes. We may never see two West teams like this play each other again. I have ideas about that for future things and future shows, but I think this one could get ugly, and especially like that second, the first game, depending on how it goes, and the second, I think that it's going to be really exciting. I think there's a lot of chance for some really exciting soccer. I think it will go both ways, either really high scoring or really low scoring. I don't think there's going to be boring parts in any of these games. No. The goalkeeping's a battle. I mean, Clayson, Matt wants him for MVP. I don't disagree. He wouldn't be my first choice, but he would be in the top 3, 5, 2.
I can agree with that.
And then on the other side, you got Pardo and Vanzella. I mean, the good thing for Ontario is they don't have to choose who their starting goalkeeper is. Where San Diego actually has a serious choice there to try to figure it out.
I mean, they have a pattern, it seems. They seem to go Pardo and then Vanzella to close it out.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't go wrong either way you look at it. So that's any coach's dream to have a platoon like that. You're right. It's going to be physical. It's going to be fun. I mean, we got video review. We'll see. I know there was I think somebody posted a comment about we had such a tough time when Craig Elston and I were calling that one of the games, and we had no idea about the too many men, and then there was we couldn't find them. Like, it'd be interesting to see if anything like that develops again. There's the thing that I guess guts me the most watching this last round. I kind of went off in a tangent. Is I really wish more people got to see these semifinal matches. Some of these on the fringe fans, because if you couldn't get any excitement out of watching any of those games, then you have no business watching sports to begin with.
Right.
I wish this playoff could have been like the springboard that could have made this league move to the next level. It was so much fun watching this. There's so many people that we got into the indoor game because of our affiliation with it in our own little circle of friends, and they were like, "Oh my God, this is the most exciting thing ever!" Like, I don't even want to watch March Madness. Like, this is far more exciting to me. I wish, and I know I think Suddy made a comment on one of these forums about having the games for free just to expand a larger audience. I don't know. I don't think that's the worst idea out there, because if more people get eyes on this, if the finals are anything like the semifinals, I mean, what better way to spend $7.99 or $3.99
right?
than catch some of the excitement?
I agree with that. I think I like the idea of charging for the games and the pay-per-view and the whole thing to keep the league going and things like that. But maybe the second game, just drop the charge and make it free.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think the first game should be pay-per-view and the second game be free.
Because the first game's going to be on a weeknight probably, and maybe not as much of a viewership.
I
Anyway.
also think MASL should kind of do something to go back to the semifinals. They've been doing this they went and did this for the first round games. Maybe do like a montage of highlights and put it out maybe on Wednesday or Thursday or something like that to kind of hype it up a little bit, because the finals are going to be similar.
So they just released today the game one highlights of the semifinals.
I mean,
tomorrow should release game two.
So just today, and I'm not making this up. This is not a like salesman. Well, I use this product at home. Was talking to a guy, music related, and he was asking for people to collaborate on something. I said, I'm looking for a song that I can use for indoor soccer type highlights. And he's like, well, we call it football here. He's from Ireland. He's like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, well, it's imagine soccer on a smaller field with boards and glass like hockey. He's like, boards, I think you're using terms I don't understand. It may mean the same thing. And I sent him the highlights from the first game that they released today, which was San Diego, Florida. And he's like, that looks fun. Where do I see more of this? I'm like, there you go. And here's like a diehard outdoor fan, because that's their main sport in Europe, and he wants to see more of the sport after seeing a 2-minute highlight clip of it.
Yep.
Oh, Adam, could you? There's going to be one key factor to the Ontario San Diego game.
Oh my God!
Could you just play the clip or the you know what I'm talking about?
Is it this one?
No. It has to do with the flight.
Oh, slippery! Oh, sorry.
Slippery balls. Slippery balls. Slippery balls.
I'm having way too much fun with this thing.
So I have a question, and I don't know what order we want to answer this. Maybe we start. In my screen, it's Matt, Adam, and then Filly and Panda.
It should be the same. It should be the same for everybody.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're right. It's not Zoom anymore.
It's not Zoom anymore. It's better. It's.
I want a corn dog, Mr. Corn Dog.
I can't with Adam. There you go. The corn dog.
Fun. It's too fun.
So here's my question.
The catchiest
would you guys? Right. So would you guys rather see an open league like how it was this year with no Eastern Conference division, to see the potential of 2 East Coast teams in the final, 2 West Coast teams in the final, 2 Mexican teams in the final, regardless, just an overall. Obviously, some teams will play each other more given region or location, but then still open it up to playing each other more and allowing any kind of matchups in the finals.
Yes, absolutely, 100%, 1,000,000%. I wrote down, I love the idea of getting rid of conferences or reseeding for playoffs and having all teams being able to play each other during the playoffs. I
think
love
it's
that
been
idea.
fun. I mean, I don't see a disadvantage to that. I mean, it is fun. I don't know, but I mean, I didn't really watch a whole lot before when it was, formatted the other way. So, I mean, I've enjoyed this, so why not keep it like that? But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I mean, to me, I like the idea of every team getting a chance to play each other. I mean, to me, it's just being a fan of the English Premier League and some of the other leagues. Like, these teams all battle against each other.
Yeah.
And I think it would be great to have another opportunity to see two West Coast teams in the finals. I think if you're going to go throughout the course of a season and call yourself a champion or a regular season champion or a conference champion, you really need to battle with everybody. So however they do it, I would just like to see us play more teams. Like, it'd be really cool to have an away trip to Baltimore. It'd be really cool to get to go to Utica. It would be really cool to get to go to some of these other places throughout the course of the season, and even in the playoffs have that type of an opportunity. I don't see a disadvantage of it at all.
You can't have a 17 team league with 24 games and play 6 games against the same opponent. And we saw that a number of times last season. I know the answer is travel costs and it's cost and it's this.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Well, we'll figure out a way to get it done, because nobody wants. I don't want to pick on Rochester here, but nobody wants to see any team play the same team 6 times, especially if it's a team that's not even competitive and going in. And then what happens is your home games, nobody shows up because they don't care. Milwaukee played Orlando back to back to end the last season. And I mean, both games on a Saturday and Sunday, and Orlando had only won 1 game since then. And I mean, they weren't really very well attended. The games were blowouts, and they were, the kids loved it, but it just was like, no, let's figure out a better way to do this. And if there's a travel cost issue, then get better travel sponsors and better deals and figure it out and just figure it out. Matt.
Okay. So in a perfect world, I would say have one division, go crazy. But in these unprecedented times,
oh God,
oh boy,
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say
blasphemy.
Well, I know it is, but I think that there needs to be an even schedule. I don't know how. That would be my main concern, an even schedule. Now, with that being said, I think the playoffs should be based on no matter where. So if you're the number 1 seed in the West, you could play a number 4 seed from the same Western Conference. So I don't know.
That's a tough format, because I mean, if you go straight into regions, then that issue with what Adam's talking about is the unbalanced schedules and stuff like that comes into play. So it's like, how can we go from regions to open format? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. And it's just kind of, we have to think about, like, so if we have 2 divisions, 2 conferences, so the East, we have an East and West. So the East would play Rochester a few times, and then the West would play Dallas a few times. That's kind of similar, right?
Seems like it's the same thing to me. We even heard from the Mexican fans, and granted, we heard it more through Juan than anybody else, but there were a number of comments of when Monterey was back in the league that we don't want to just play Dallas and Mesquite every other week. Like, their games were Sonora, Dallas, and Mesquite. That was it.
Sorry to cut you off, Adam. The other issue, because I want to tag on with what you said, the other issue is that when they did play those other teams, they're the ones who had to travel. Teams didn't want to go to Mexico and play.
Right.
Which me, I would love to take a trip to Mexico. Well, first of all, maybe that's not. Maybe that's not, for me, it's a little biased, but, from other fans, they might not want to take that trip. But I think I would love to take a trip to Mexico and watch the Blast play Monterrey in Monterrey Arena. That would be phenomenal. Phenomenal.
So what do you guys think of this to kind of tie into this thing? In a non-COVID year where we have, let's say we're back to normal, whatever the definition of that is.
100% vaccinated. Yeah, let's continue.
Sure, whatever normal is, and I there's no way I cannot use quotes after that word. What do you think about the idea that they did this year where you have a series played in the Florida and Ontario, where you take 4 teams, you put them in one location and play? Do you like that idea in a regular season where there may be, I mean, obviously you have to work out costs. You have to work out, like, you can't just say if you're hosting 4 games in Kansas City, that Kansas City gets all the ticket money. You have to figure out, like bus deals for, teams want to travel and all sorts of stuff like that. I like the idea of doing that. I obviously not in Florida. Ontario held a much better series there.
It would be great because I could take a vacation off to watch all the games.
Right. That's what I was going to say. I mean, like as a fan and being there as media, it was just fun to see all the teams and see all the players and get a chance to meet them and interview them, like all in one area. And, I don't know when else I would get that opportunity to do something like that.
Right.
So that was really cool. And had there been fans in there and they could buy some pass for all the games and come over and watch them all, I mean, it's just like a big old tournament, It reminds me of high school. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and I'm not opposed to that. I don't know what it really looks like outside of this odd year. So, but I did enjoy what we were able to experience.
Yeah, I mean, I echo those words. It'd be cool to take a trip somewhere, and that somewhere could be upstate New York. That somewhere could be the Midwest. That somewhere could be Mexico or Florida. As a fan, I would love to travel anywhere and see, kind of like growing up, you have that dream as a kid. If you're a baseball fan, you want to see every stadium in Major League Baseball. I mean, going around, I'd love to see the 16 other buildings that host indoor soccer teams. Turlock, I mean, we have the ability to go see Turlock. Next season we would. But no, I mean, Monterey has a gorgeous arena. I'd love to go check that out. I'd love to see a game in Milwaukee. I'd love to hang out with you, Matt, in Utica. I'd love to hang out with you, Gio, in Baltimore. Wherever it goes, like I think it's fun to have a bunch of teams there at one time, and it gives all of us an excuse to take a trip somewhere. And if we know what the schedule is, we can mark it on the calendar and hit that up. It'd be
that's what I do. I mean, that's what I do every year. Is when the schedule comes out, I look at it and I say, okay, I have a weekend. Where do I want to go? And
we were gonna do the San Diego, Ontario trip when Milwaukee came out west 2 seasons ago. And then we went all crazy and bought a new house, so that kind of ruined that.
I think that's a better long-term investment. I mean,
yeah. Well, we were in our house for 17 years, and we planned like 3. So
okay, yeah.
We were 15 years too long in that place.
So I have 2 questions then to piggyback on that, I guess. One. Oh, sorry. Brad brings up a great point. Yeah, fans do want to see their teams play at home.
But if it's
sure,
I mean, you don't have to do the traditional 12 home, 12 away. If you insert something like that, and you don't have to have every team competing in an away tournament, but you can make those away games could be part of the away package. It could only happen once every 2 or 3 or 4 years or whatever, and they can rotate. I think it's a legitimate concern, but I don't think it's.
Are we looking at it as fanatics, or are we looking at it as fans?
So, if you, as Philly has said at least 20 times in this season, if you get anyone in front of the game, they'll become a fan. So
this is true.
At that point, it's all a matter of marketing. Like, we don't want to hear it called the Sunshine Series in the first quarter of the first game and go, "What's the Sunshine Series?" We want it to be advertised. We want it to be bombarded out there on social media. We want special broadcasting packages. We want special visiting team ticket packages. We want the whole deal. We want the team to work together and bundle this thing as a product, instead of all these owners like worrying about themselves. And then, oh yeah, did someone do the Friday night before the Saturday game? Hey, did someone post on Facebook that we're playing tomorrow night? It can't be any more of that.
The box, cool.
Yeah. Hey, an hour before the show, should we change the thumbnail? It doesn't work on Facebook. Thank you, Facebook.
That's right. Hold on, wait. Before we share the link, let's create the thumbnail.
And then have it not work because Facebook is dumb.
Oh,
Sorry.
don't leave Facebook alone. They try. No, so here's my second question, right? So would you love to see these series turn into like a trophy? Like whoever has the best winning ratio in that series walk away with a trophy. So it's like the Sunshine series, and it's like whoever wins the most games here this weekend, you get a trophy.
Corn Dog Cup.
You could make this bronze and heavier and just pass it out. That'd be great.
Well, there is one. It's in Tacoma.
We created.
Well, it might be in the trash.
We decided to give the winning team of the All-Star game a corn dog trophy. So I had a trophy made up that's semi-phallic looking that says congratulate 2020 or 2020 MASL All-Star Corn Dog Champions, and we sent it out to Tacoma, and that's the last we ever heard of it. So I'm guessing it's in a dumpster somewhere. Probably not in anyone's trophy case, but we'll see. We'll maybe someone will prove me wrong.
We'll have to do some investigating.
Yeah.
To answer your question, if there should be a trophy, I think if they can do it similarly to how maybe college basketball will, like you start off the season with a tournament like this and award a trophy, I think that'd be a cool way to do it. If you do this throughout the course of the season 2 or 3 or 4 times, I think it loses it gets diluted a little bit, a little watered down. Maybe you kick off the season similar again, like the Maui Invitational or the Great Alaskan Shootout. I'm quoting college basketball right now because Gonzaga's playing Baylor.
I know, I don't know if anyone's following that right now,
but I think that'd be fun to just have a little round robin tournament that way, and maybe maybe do it somewhat similarly to how you take teams from the previous season, what their statistical ratios are, maybe the second best teams in the conference play. I don't know how you would do it, but maybe just start off a tournament that way. Based on points, based on winning percentages, and kick things off that way. I think that'd be a fun way to do it. You start off the season with a piece of hardware, and then you end the season with a better piece of hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's college football. Wisconsin, Minnesota has this lumberjack axe. I don't even know what it's called, and that they play for that every year. And it's, that's their one game a year that they always play each other, and they always, winner brings the axe home, and it's this big giant thing, and they make a big deal about it. I'd like to see more things like that. And they don't even have to be officially MASL sanctioned. They could be just between, like KC and St. Louis or San Diego and Ontario have some localized kind of little thing that they're playing
you would have to have it sanctioned, because if someone, let's just say, punches someone in the face.
Well, that's true.
You'd still have to be suspended due to the fact it's a sanctioned game.
Chop somebody's head off with the axe that's really the trophy, then.
Yeah. But I think, Adam,
drown him in the old oaken bucket.
Yeah. Yeah, with Indiana. We had the same thing with Purdue. We call it the old oaken bucket. It's been around for like 100 years.
Yep.
Maybe you do something that way where you and your arch rivals, say like it could be something between St. Louis and Kansas City, something between Rochester and Utica, something between San Diego and Ontario. I think that'd be kind of cool. Just like
rivalry week,
like the Cascadia Cup. We'll talk about MLS, something like that, something fun. Yeah, I think that'd be a heck of a lot of fun. Bragging rights and all that territorial domination. I think that's a cool idea.
Well, I think Milwaukee and Utica were starting to do something like that.
With the beer.
COVID. Yeah, it was called the Lager
Derby. Beer?
Yeah, it was
I
the
like
Lager
beer.
Derby. So the first year Utica was in existence, so 3 years ago. Yeah. Utica and Milwaukee played, and the game was in Utica, and the mayor of Utica banned all sales of Milwaukee's Best. And then in the locker room, or no, was it in the locker room? I forget what it was, but there was a bunch of Utica club in the locker room, but Milwaukee ended up winning. So did someone sneak in Milwaukee's Best, or did they drink the Utica club? I forget what it was.
I don't remember what it was. It was funny though, because you guys had Utica club jerseys made up.
We didn't get to wear them 2 years ago. We didn't get to wear them because of COVID.
Both teams did like little social media, little commercials that Utica used to do. They both did those against each other, and chugging a beer or doing this, and crushing the cans and things like that. It was fun. Eric, let me know. So Eric Bergerud is Paul Bunyan's axe was the trophy that I couldn't remember. I knew it was some kind of thing like that. Eric, let me know when you're back into the chat. And if he's not in the chat yet, he didn't hear that. So we have to play a little clip for Eric that we played in the first half of the show that he didn't get to hear. Okay, Eric's back. So these playoffs have been really confusing for a lot of people. All these 1-goal games, all these like, who do you pick? Who's the winner? I went for the picker wheel for half the season. Nick and Eric, and Nick Vassos actually has the perfect answer to this question. And I'm just going to play you the question that Eric asks and how Nick answers it. And that'll be our definitive answer for everything for the rest of the season. Here we go.
Fair enough.
All right, Nick Vassos, I'll ask you again. Who's going to be the hero?
So there we go. And then I have that on a hotkey. So anytime you ask me a hard question, and Eric's like, why did I come back for this?
Oh my God. It's great. It's great. I have a lot of those answers.
So the three of us have a chat for ourselves, and Adam and Gio kept going back and forth all night last night and then into the day today with all of this stuff. And
I wanted to get
little
timeout quotes. I wanted to get, now would be a perfect time for a timeout. And then we do our little break thing. I wanted to get something comment about goalkeeping. Yeah.
I think maybe you should also have like a ding dong comment every once in a while when something transpires. Like, I love Smurfy. Would say ding dong off the post. Like, though that's maybe you get your text message that way. Every time I text message you, the phone will go ding dong. That'd be
ding dong calling.
We were talking about this.
Can you make that Nick Vassos thing into like a ringtone or like something?
Probably.
That would be a great text.
So we were talking either last week or the week before about how I think Nick has kind of gone away from some of his like overly cliche-ish sayings, and I said bring those back because we want to hear top shelf or grandma keeps the cookies. We want to hear ding dong off the post, and I think he did. I think over the weekend he did start using those more.
Yeah,
he did.
It's just. That's what I know. So when I first started watching this sport in 2011, 2012, the streaming platforms were awful. I mean, they couldn't even keep the games running all game long without crashing and weird things. But those are the things that I remember. And it just, at first it's like, well, that's really corny. And then then you hear it again. I'm like, okay, I get it. And then it happens against your team and you get more mad. But then, as it goes on, you're like, this is the greatest thing ever. So I'm glad we brought that back.
I also like Phillies, Tweety Birds and Smurfs. They're definitely catching on. That's how I've been calling them. Thanks to you, of course.
Oh no.
There are a couple of people that got a hold of me about that, saying how much they really liked it. And when I realized it might catch on. So I think it might have been during the past Tacoma San Diego series. We went out to eat after the game. And I guess we bumped into the refs that were reffing the game at this place called, I don't remember the name of it. Lazy Dog in Rancho Cucamonga. Yeah. And we saw that they had the MASL logo, but they recognized me right away. And the one guy goes, all right, so remind me again, you got the Smurf. It's the Tweety Bird is the yellow. And the fact that they just approached me about it, I'm like, that's hilarious.
That's awesome.
They asked me what I had for the red, and I said, I don't know. It needs to be organic. It needs to happen at that time. I think in one of the games I said, we got served with a packet of ketchup. I think I might need to work on that one.
I kind of like the he got served with a Kool-Aid man.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that would work. Yeah.
All right, maybe I'd give that a shot if I have an opportunity to say it. So.
Do you guys know? I know. So the games are up in the air for this weekend, as far as when exactly they are. I know that Ontario sent something to their fans asking if they're available for Friday and Sunday. But I have a feeling the reason it's on hold is they're going to try to get one of the games in San Diego. Just my guess. I have no inside knowledge. That's just my kind of read of things. Do you know if it's going to be you and Craig or if it's going to be you and Jonathan?
Oh, great question. Sorry.
I mean, a great question. I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to even spoil anything.
Don't get in trouble.
I think I'm going to refrain. I'm still trying to figure things out. You will see big side. Come on, man. Will you see or hear from me and Jonathan? That yes, there's a great possibility, and I wasn't sworn to secrecy, but obviously I don't want to ruffle any feathers. So I let's put it this way. It would only make sense for an Ontario-San Diego final to have an Ontario and San Diego person calling the games, which would make it kind of fun. So we'll see. We'll see.
Absolutely. Panda and Craig Elson all the way. Anyways.
Hey, you know what? If that's the case, that I go pitch a fireside chats with Philly, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, let me throw some color in there. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, it's gonna be a good time. I think. Look, at the end of the day, I think the reason why, and the post that MASL put up mentioned that they're gonna make an announcement tomorrow. I mean, ultimately, I think it has to deal with the possibility of getting people into the arena and how many. So California's in this position where we fall into the orange tier, and you have to stay in the orange tier for a specific period of time before, and I know this works for outdoor, before they'll up the ante. Because for baseball, for example, outdoors, it's 25%. And so I think with the orange tier, if we're there, it ups the ante to about 33% for outdoor. So assuming the reason why that's the case, it's probably just to allow more people within the building. That's my guess, because we're right on that cusp. And we got LAFC starts next week. So we know this just because of that reason. That's what's going to ultimately determine how many people are going to be allowed in Bank of California Stadium. So I'm figuring that has to factor into the decision-making process for what's going on. I don't know many details, but we'll obviously all find out soon enough.
Yeah. Somebody called it, Matt, I think you might have said this when we were coming up with like ideas just on our general brainstorming shows about having one home announcer from each team do that, like you and like if it would be you and Craig doing the broadcast for like a lot of different games, playoff or here and there during the season or whatever. I also want to have like a corn dog sale to have Nick and Eric go down to Mexico and do an English broadcast for the Spanish games next season.
I'm pretty sure Nick and Eric would love that.
They brought it up on the broadcast, and I figured the only way to fund that is a corn dog sale. I mean, there's no other way to do it.
So we're just gonna have to do it, man. Oh well.
Can we?
And corn dogs during a game.
I'm sure Panda would be your best saleswoman.
There you go.
I'd like to ask Nick Vassos a question. Adam, I don't know if you can answer for him. Nick, how's your Spanish?
I heard that.
Okay. So what I'm getting at is they need a translator. So Gio is in on this, right? Is what I'm getting at? Okay, cool.
I don't think anyone said that, but yeah, translate that, Gio.
Hey, Eric, by the way, tell Nick I apologize for using his clip about 100 times tonight already, and for the rest of my life, in the entirety of this show.
I want to give a shout out to Eric for I didn't realize he was going to call out our little bet on the broadcast. I really thought that was going to be between him and I. And then he made good with the bet, and he only posted his response to it. But I had to kind of set it up for people who didn't catch it. So I posted on our social media how he, called me out, and then obviously the video of him with the scarf. It was class act, class organization. Big fan of both Nick and Eric, and they've been extremely helpful, providing us with guidance and support. Because look, we're the new kids on the block, for better or for worse. That was the story. But we've done our best to improve, and we'll continuously improve because we love the game, we respect the game, we respect the tradition and the history, and we want to help propel it to the next level. So hats off to you guys over at Kansas City for being as supportive and welcoming us into a little. I
was going to do that.
Yeah, Eric actually did mention the bet to me before they went on the air before game one. So I knew there was something brewing between you two, but I didn't want to spoil it, so I didn't say anything.
I want to say he didn't announce it until game 2.
I didn't catch the first couple of minutes. Yeah, that was great. I didn't catch it initially because the Final Four was starting, and so they wanted to go right on the money with it. Miley Cyrus was doing a concert.
Watching Miley, I'm sorry.
So I'm screaming, put on the telecast, put on the Facebook. They're like, but Miley. I'm like, damn it, no, I want the telecast. So I missed Eric saying it. And then I'm getting text messages from everybody that we know within the Fury, like, I didn't know you made this bet. I didn't know you made this bet. I'm like, what are you talking about? And of course I missed it because this one over here and several others were watching Miley Cyrus.
It was like a live concert. I hadn't seen one in so long. It was exciting. Sorry.
But your team with a chance to go to the finals, Miley Cyrus.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was just the game hadn't started yet. It was just them talking.
Well, which I like to hear.
Yeah.
Like we missed something important.
I didn't know. I'm sorry.
You're okay.
It's available on replay.
I thought we were about to have an
Adam.
intervention here.
What's that, Gio?
Adam, you have a soundboard for this. It goes something like you used it when I was talking. You go wah wah wah.
Absolutely.
Ding dong.
I gotta get the ding dong off the plug. There's so many I get. The thing is, I have it set up like on the right side of my keyboard on the number pads. There's only 9 numbers there, so I'd have to get something else to figure out more things. And I know there's a phone app I can use, and I don't know how exactly crazy busy I want to make this whole thing. But if it's sound effects, we could. I mean, I could go crazy on this.
Yeah.
All right.
By the way, Baylor
Predictions.
is about to beat Gonzaga. 17 seconds left, and they're winning by 16.
This goes
Who's
back
done
to your
what?
comment about you not wanting to be undefeated because the pressure towards the end is immense. That's why no team has gone undefeated and won a national title in college basketball since the 1976 Indiana Hoosiers. Why do I care or know about that? Because I went to Indiana, and I'm damn proud of that stat.
Yeah.
I'm from Indiana.
What are we talking about now?
We're protecting the only legacy we really have left right now.
It's the game that they can use their hands and the ball. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. Oh, gotcha.
There's no glass. There's no boards. There's no turf. Yeah.
So yeah, Gonzaga's
There's
losing,
glass
whatever.
forward.
You guys have more important things to worry about.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I brought up, speaking of which, Adam, I know you work at Northwestern Mutual. We learned over the course of the weekend that somebody playing on the turf also works at Northwestern Mutual. I'm sure y'all caught on the boards, Nicolau Neto,
Yep.
financial representative, Northwestern Mutual.
Yep. I saw that. It was on because I think it's right by the benches.
Yep.
And it went right by there. I'm like, Nicolau Neto, financial representative, Northwestern. I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool. There's like tens of thousands of financial reps around the country, but it's just cool that he's and most of them are not NM employees. They're kind of like they have their own small businesses and they work for NM. But it's pretty cool to actually see that out there in the field and not that I haven't met him in person, but knowing that there's someone out there in our soccer world, kind of worlds collide type thing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I got respect for Northwestern, man. I mean, I interned there in college. I actually got my life accident and health insurance license while working as an intern at Northwestern Mutual in, I guess it was the summer of 2005.
Nice.
And I still maintain the license, so shout out Northwestern Mutual.
Eric,
Nicola
good night.
Neto
Eric has to leave. Eric, good night. He says good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
What were you saying, Matt? Sorry.
I said Nicola Neto is tall. He is really tall.
Yeah.
That's the few things that I learned this weekend. I learned Rian Marquez is really, really tall. Rafa Alves is huge.
Yeah, he's big.
Nicola Neto is really tall. And we all know Frank and Uzi are just like walls. Brick walls.
First of all, I learned that Rian speaks Spanish.
There you go.
Nice.
Wow.
I was like, what? When I heard him talking Spanish, I was like, what?
Here's something I don't like. I don't like the goalkeepers having the same color jersey and the same color pants. Because especially when it was Neto versus Clayson,
To tell.
they have the same kind of body structure. It's like,
Aren't they both Brazilian?
Clayson's Brazilian.
yeah, they both are. They're both Brazilian. They both have the same body structure. They both have the same exact color jersey, and it's like, wait a minute. And it was pretty consistent throughout the playoffs.
But do they both sell insurance?
Probably not. I would say probably not. All right, so should we do predictions?
I have a question.
Well,
real quick. I have a question for you guys, since you've been following this game for a while, and we went to a handful of games before pandemic and kind of got the whole feel of the arena and stuff, and we know what it's like to see a game without the boards up. So, since pandemics happened and they have the boards up, I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on it, because I mean I know how we feel, but again, I mean this is coming from a different perspective. So I'm really curious what people, longtime viewers of this sport, really feel about what that has done to this game, how it's changed it, improved it, what it's taken away from it. That's my question to you guys, because I haven't got to talk to anybody about it yet.
Matt,
Who wants to go first?
Matt, make Matt go first, because
Yeah, Matt, go first.
Oh, great. Okay.
The negative side of this.
Okay, I mean I figured there was
No,
gonna be
hold on. I'm not negative Nancy about this. So there are pros and cons. The pros are the game is much shorter. So you saw an overtime game maybe go a couple hours, maybe 2.5, which would kind of be similar to a regular game with the boards down. So I think for the time factor, I think boards up is great. Besides that, I'm a boards down kind of guy. I think that fan interaction, being able to like get a high five from a player after they score a goal, or even after a game where they can go around and high five, whatever. I think the level of interaction is a lot better with the boards down. This weekend, it was really great with the boards up, though. I did enjoy it, with not a lot of balls going out of play. But I mean, for me, it's a taste of, I would rather have boards down. But
Okay. That seems to be I hear that a lot, definitely. And I get that. I mean, that was one of the first things we noticed when we were at our first live game, was just we were able to like chat with the players during the game, and like the refs, like there was banter going on, and you just felt so connected to it, and it just gave you a more intimate feel. So I do get that, definitely.
My buddy JR is a huge Sonora fan now, and mainly because when Sonora came to Ontario to play, JR likes to heckle every once in a while. And Rosales on Sonora was, I guess you could say, the victim kind of some JR banter. And Rosales came right up to him. And we're both like, oh no, we've never dealt with this. But he was so cool about it and gave us high fives. And then at the end of the game, JR's like, hey, Rosales! And he just came over, just took pictures of us, high five. And so as a result of that, he likes Sonora. He would have had no reason to care about Sonora until he became like best friends with Rosales. So I hear what you're saying there.
However.
Yeah. I became a Sonora fan because I watched one of their first games in their arena and just watched them run up and down the field for 60 minutes nonstop, taking shots. As soon as they got past half field, it was shooting zone. And they were just unloading all over the place. But their games are always the longest of anyone because of the fact that they shoot so much. They're bouncing all over the place. They're always going in the crowd, always stoppages. And because they score 15 goals a game, there's all the stoppages for the goals. So for me, I'm answering this in two ways, and I know that's a cop-out. For the for the gameplay, glass up. There's fewer out of bounds. There are fewer top-of-the-arc restarts, which I think, I don't want to say it's a cheap goal, but I want to say you're on, in a normal free kick, you're say 60% to score, and all of a sudden now you're 75, and those numbers are completely made up off the top of my head, but there definitely is a higher chance of scoring top of the arc. I know a lot of teams practice a lot of strategies. I don't know what the numbers are this season versus last season, but I bet they were a lot less per game overall. For the flow of the game, for the speed of the game. Now, granted, as a fan who I want to watch as much soccer as I can, I don't necessarily want the games to be over fast. But if we want this TV deal, the TV channels are going to look for a 2-hour time slot, and you can't do that with glass down. When we sit in the arena, we're in row 9 in our section, and there's 3 rows in the section in front of us. So it's like a little mini front row section. And we do that so we can see over the glass in like the penalty area and the corners. So I don't think it would change our view having the glass up at the games, but the fan interaction. There's nothing like watching the Wave come out and go over to little old Louise, who's about 80 years old, and giving her big hugs because she's been a season ticket holder for 30 years or whatever it's been. I think almost probably since the beginning. So it's going on 35 years of season ticket holder. All the players know her. All the players love her. They go down to my friend Steve Squires, who is also has a press pass and big giant camera, and he takes some great shots all game. He wouldn't be able to get half the pictures he does without being able to lean over and go like this down the glass and down the walls and things like that. And I mean, after the game, the kids just rush down there, so I never get to do high fives with the players, for how far back we are. But I think just overall, it's just so much more interactive. And this is something we can't lose in our sport. And I've said this a bunch, the selfish me doesn't want 15,000 fans at a game. I don't want the heyday of the 80s because I know I'll never be able to go up and shake hands with the players after the game then. And we don't even get autographs anymore. We just sit in line and say hi and talk the game and go to the next person after every game. And so I think for that, we got to have the more fan interaction. Not to say that the end of game autographs will be taken away or anything, but removing the glass kind of removes that extra layer, and it just kind of distances the fans and the players a little bit more.
So you agree with me?
I do agree with you. Yeah, basically agree with you. But I say it in many more words and I take more time to do it.
I was like, this is like 4 minutes in, and you're like, I was going to be like, so you agree with me?
So there's a solution to this, by the way. In Mexico, they have the glass panels are easily removable, where you can have the glass up, and within less than 3 minutes, you can remove the glass and have the fan interaction.
So are the parts of the boards, as we saw the other day.
No, that was different.
It's a game in Mexico. They put a giant hole in the wall, in the bottom of the wall. Giant, soccer ball size.
Well, no, if you take the technology that they have when they insert the glass and be able to take the glass out, if you use that on permanent boards, like how the MASL has, I think that's your solution. But I think obviously fan engagement is number one. Obviously, you breed that culture. Obviously, regardless, you have 5,000 fans to 30,000 fans. You breed that culture from the beginning. It doesn't change, right? It's just like a business. It doesn't matter if we're a 500 employee business to 1,000 of employees in our business. If we breed the culture stays. But with that said, I think the glass ups has been, for me, one of the best things. I hate to talk about the heydays. Because back then, now, different worlds, everything's different. But the fact that they brought that back this season has been phenomenal for me. Just the speed of the game, seeing more wall of scorers and hearing it is like, it's for me, it's awesome. And just seeing how players use the glass, seeing how it really does show the difference, or really highlights the difference of indoor and outdoor, right? Because, me being a player of both, I get to see like, okay, we use the glass this way. Okay, we beat this player this way. And we get out of that shadow of what soccer is. I guess mine is more like more reasons as far as like what kind of sport this is compared to the other sports. But I do appreciate the speed of the game, the technicality of the game. You can't just, oh crap, we're getting pressured, let's kick it out like we do in soccer, like outdoor in full field. It's like that's a tactic. You can't do that with the glass up unless you really want to screw your team over. So
That's
it's like
element to the game.
Yeah.
Right. It's a completely different element. And for me, that element is indoor. That element is like, hey, I can hit it off this board and bounce it to that guy making that run without having the ball go out of play. And for me, that's phenomenal. When I played in high school, that's what we did when we played indoor. It's like I don't want to say we were geometry masters. No, I don't want to say that. But we use the angles like, hey, look, if I hit it here, we're hitting that person on the run. And guess what? We're going from defense to offense. It adds a dynamic to the sport that we really need, instead of saying like, oh, crap, we need to bail out and hit the ball out.
Yeah.
And I also hate to see that.
It's definitely No, yeah, it's definitely a new skill set that you even have to have. I mean, you don't even think about that in the outdoor game. That's not even, unless it just ricochets off a player, but mental. These are all deliberate shots that they're making and guessing where it's going to bounce and go. I mean, it does. It adds a whole new element to the game that's so much fun. And like I said, we're new to this, but I think it's a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it. I'm curious to see who makes the decision at the end of the day. I mean, like, I don't know how the players feel about them. But yeah, who's going to sit down and make the decision at the end of the day and yes, they're up, or no, we're going to put them down. I mean, I don't know. I'm curious to see where this goes, because it does. I see both sides of it. I totally do. One of them in, to the game. And I feel like the new element is just like, keeping it going for me now. So I don't know.
I think the real interesting. Hang on, Joe. I think the real interesting thing is that we only saw like half of a season, not even half for some teams, with the glass up, and they haven't built those skills. Now, let's say the glass is up and it's 5 years from now, the game's going to look really different, and I think that's the exciting part for me about having glass up, just for the gameplay thing. I just don't know how it would change the culture, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe it won't. Maybe we just, instead of high-fiving the players and giving hugs, we, high five on the glass and fist bump on the glass, and then everyone sees everyone else after the game, kind of thing.
We all meet at a bar later.
Yeah.
or even this, like, players can come out to greet the fans. Like, I mean, the fact that players take that extra effort to go outside to meet the fans, it's not like, oh, hey, we're just walking to a sideline. We're actually taking the time to go meet the fans, right? So it adds a different dynamic as far as like off the field, but on the field, like you guys say, like it adds a skill set. I saw this playoff, seen some passes that I haven't seen in a long time where they'll roll it off the top, where they can do a bicycle, where they can do a catch on the volley, where they can do a wall of scorer, things that people of the 80s, right, can get behind and love. Because it's like, hey, that's the sport that we grew up with. Well, why not keep the glass up? This is how we keep the indoor fan, the arena fan, how we keep everyone together and say, hey, this is our sport. So I think the glass up is phenomenal. If we can find a way to breed the culture of, hey, after the game, you meet the fans, or hey, we take the glass down with this new technology that they specialize in Mexico to meet the fans. Whatever the course they take, if they can keep the culture of the fan engagement and keep the sport of the glass up or indoor, whatever you want to call it, alive, that should be the best approach. Yeah. I mean, highlight that instead of trying to be another outdoor but inside.
One aspect that I did enjoy this weekend during the playoffs is there weren't a lot of fans at the Florida San Diego games, but the Ontario Kansas City games, they got loud because people were banging on that glass. Yeah. And it got really loud, and there were only like 1,600 people there. But if I closed my eyes, I would say there was like maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people there. That's how loud it was. And people are banging on the glass, and that's an aspect I do like. I do like that, especially in hockey. So I could see that as a definite pro as well, but I'm still.
I mean, if having the glass up is going to shorten these games by, I don't know, 20, even 20, 30 minutes, you've got that time, like you said, like at the end of the game now, they do have extra time, that they weren't using during the game. Use that as your time to really connect back with, the players and make the fans feel special. Like, let them be a part of watching that game for that time. And then, afterwards they can have that as well. I mean, that's just, maybe a possible solution. Like, if they're looking to keeping them up, hey, you've saved time. Let's put it on the back end now.
I mean, the one thing we could all agree on is the fact that we want to see the sport grow. We want to see the sport on networks. So ultimately, the decision is going to have to be made as to how in fact to do that. Prolonging the game so you could add that sponsorship revenue is definitely going to be something the commissioner and the rest of this league is going to have to factor in. Last night, I fell asleep watching a video on the 85-86 season, MASL. And there's a couple things on there that I thought were kind of cool, like how they had the Budweiser logo in the back of the net. as another source of generating revenue. I mean, at the end of the day, Panda referred to the indoor game versus the outdoor game as going to see a punk rock band versus like a regular rock band. So you're going to have that fan engagement, which makes it great, that small punk rock circuit. But at the same time, without the boards, you're going to be able to prolong the game, and you're going to be able to get that sponsorship money and that TV revenue. And one way or another, and even though some people aren't going to like it, in order for this thing to grow, it's going to have to get somewhat more corporate. That's what's going to, make this thing sustainable. And as much as people might detest that, that's what it is. It's a business in the grand scheme of things, and we want it to grow. And the way for it to grow is national sponsorships. The game's over like that. They're not going to care as much. Fan engagement will be there without the boards. The games will be longer. Get those commercials, maybe an extra media timeout, throw some more commercials on there. And it might, corporatize the game, but there's the argument. I like Green Day before they sold out, but ultimately when they sold out, they made the best music. So, arguable the best music, but they were known. So that's what we want, is this game to grow. And I hate to say it, if the suits start making money on it, that's how it's going to grow.
Yeah. It's interesting because something you just said, I've heard this rhetoric over the years of have to get the games to 2 hours for a TV deal. But then on the other hand, you want a longer game because you want more corporate ad sponsors.
I'm sorry.
I think it's probably not as important to get under 2 hours as it is to have a solid corporate backing. I
think the key is under 2 hours of gameplay. The commercials doesn't matter.
Oh, one thing we need, and I wrote this down, we need like hundreds of new commercials with different music. Because
welcome to Ontario International Airport.
Yeah. No, I mean honestly, like speaking from I was a diehard outdoor fan. Like I didn't watch any sport, basketball. The only time I played American football was when I wanted to rebel against my dad. But I was bred outdoor. I've played it all my life, and just making the transition to indoor has, I don't know, it's filled my life with so much joy. So it's like my ultimate goal is to help grow. And, that's why I joined In the Box. That's why I did what I did beforehand and why I continue to do what I do, because honestly, this sport is amazing. And just to see how distinct it is from any other sport, whatever I can do to push this game forward, it's what I'll do. But I just seeing some of the decisions and seeing some of the stuff that happens is just like, oh, come on, really? Like this game could be so easy.
Could be.
I thought we brought you that joy.
Oh yes, you did, man. You are my bundle of joy.
We took away your Monday nights. I mean, what else can you ask? Make you post all this stuff online, make you do all these videos. I mean,
I know, but I love it, man. Like I try to find more ways to do it. Like, whatever I can do, I do it. And I just wish I want to grow the game so more fans enjoy it, honestly.
Yeah.
I kind of look at it this way, how Dana White gets involved with the UFC. The UFC has its bones and its structure there. But it's not until he got his Fertitta brother friends involved that it made the sport expand. I'm with you. I'd like to be there to help build that as well. We were talking earlier, and on Saturday during the Tropics and the Sockers game, I was at Bank of California Stadium. I had a media pass to cover LAFC's preseason game. And I'm lucky I had my co-host from the other pod on me, because half the time I'm staring at my damn phone trying to find out what's going on with the Sockers Tropics game. Meanwhile, I got LAFC and New England Revolution in front of me. So I feel you on that level. It's the bones are there. The infrastructure needs to be worked a little bit, but the bones are there. There is no reason why this can't go to the next level. But it's up to guys like you and people like us to come out with content, keep engaging people. I think that's another important aspect is even when the season comes to an end, that doesn't mean that we should take a break along with the season. We need to keep going, releasing content, having shows like yours every Monday that people can tune into, interviews with the players, help get their names and their stories out there. I mean, that's the reason why we started Striking Fury, is to tell the story of the Fury players. And I never would have imagined I would have landed in the position I was in just by starting a podcast for a team. I'm blown away with what I've been able to do and seeing the opportunities that it's enabled the both of us to have together. But yeah, we want to help this grow because I don't know if you're allowed to swear on this show, but it's effing awesome.
Well, please, you can.
Wait, let's take that back and add the swear word and then go.
It's fucking awesome.
There you go.
There you go.
I need a ding.
I swear, that's what we do.
Just kidding.
We kind of self-imposed a 2 F-bomb per show.
We
and
did
then-
for
Adam.
We did
For Adam. It's only for Adam.
So
And then Florida's first broadcast came out, and I blew that away in the first 30 seconds.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, I got to ask you a question, Adam, real quick.
Yeah.
So I look at the position that you are in, being a Milwaukee Wave fan, knowing that you didn't have the ability to defend your title this season. Do you leave this season with the idea that, well, you know what, whoever wins is the interim champion because, well, they didn't get to fight the real winner? Do you have that thought?
What do you want, Gio?
So here's my thing, right?
He said Adam. He didn't say
yeah,
Gio.
he
No,
did.
no, no.
I was
Here's my thing.
why is
Here's my
this
thing.
the-
Wait, hold on. Adam can answer after this. Adam can answer after this. I promise. Just because they won the championship last season or the season before, or whatever the case is, doesn't mean they were going to make it to the playoffs this season.
Sure, they
Doesn't
were.
mean-
Everyone made it to the playoffs this season.
I know, but I'm saying if it was a regular season, doesn't mean that they were guaranteed to fight for their title. Yes, they came into the season with the title, doesn't mean that they were going to get to defend it. So just like Leicester in the EPL in England, yeah, they won the title back in 2013 or 14. I can't
16.
remember. Thank you. 16. Doesn't mean they got to defend it in the following season, right? Because it was Manchester City all the way, or Liverpool and Manchester City. So the same rules apply, right? Just because of how you performed the season before, you won a title before, doesn't mean you get to carry it over the next season, because the next season is a whole new ballgame.
Yeah, but you'd be playing Rochester 15 times.
No, that was you.
So, all right. The question was addressed to me. I think I should probably answer.
Sorry, I thought.
So, coming into this season, with all the unknowns and with all the, what's the best word for this? Nonsense?
Unprecedented times.
Ridiculous bullshit. I mean, what do you call it? With everything that happened, all the changes, oh, we're going to do 12 games. No, we're going to do 10. No, we're going to do playoffs here. No, we're going to do playoffs there. No, we're going to do this. I was like, you can't call this the Ron Newman Cup. But then I had players reach out to me, and I've been reading that other group that I don't belong to anymore because I was blocked from it, but I still have a backdoor on how to get into it. So there's that. And I started just thinking about it more. And does Ian Bennett play any less harder based on what the trophy's called, or because it's a 7-team season versus 17? Does he make the choice that it's a 7-team season? Does he make the choice that he can't play on his team? The players do. The players are going out there and playing as hard as they can every time they get on the field, regardless if they're playing in the MASL, the MISL, the NPSL, the WTFSL, all these different leagues have been over the years. They play as hard as they can every time because they're professionals. They deserve to play for the trophy. If you want to call it the Ron Newman Cup, we call it the Ron Newman Cup. We obviously look at this season as when you look at like the number of goals scored and the number of games played, it's obviously a giant dip from every other season. But everyone knows what happened this year. Everyone knows what happened in not only sports but lives and all the crazy stuff going on in the world and all the deaths and all the horrible things, with some really great things. Next week, we're going to do a segment that I just wrote down about all the positives in this sport from this season. So you guys start thinking about that. And if you Filly and Panda, if you guys want to send us ideas, we'll bring them too. But I think long story short, Ron Newman Cup is fine. We will still enter at the Wave. We'll enter the season next season as with the era of we are coming back to get our trophy back. And I think every team should enter the season exactly that way. We are either getting the trophy back or we're winning it for the first time, and just play as hard as you can. Don't let outside factors control you. If they come out with a rule in the league that says you can only play games that you can take a bus to, and Baltimore can only play in Monterey with Lewis as a bus driver, that's what we do, and
slow down.
That's what we play.
Lewis is not a Baltimore fan. He's a Baltimore Spirits fan. Let's just get that straight.
The team that was in the league for a year and a half. But yeah, I mean, if that's what it takes, whatever the rules are, I'm gonna be a fan no matter what. I will absolutely 100% complain about things for the betterment of the sport. I will let the league know how I feel. We will use this show to make our voices heard. And if we're told to shut up, great. If somebody takes one of our ideas, like let's have a shirt for Nick Vassos that Matt can bid on and get signed by Nick Vassos, awesome. We're like you guys. We're an opinion piece. And I think let's all do this thing and just make it the best we can.
Agreed.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
So
Fans
like
are
I said,
private.
they have to compete for it next season. Sorry.
What?
Nothing.
All right. What do you think? Predictions?
So, predictions
Sorry.
might be easy. Is anyone picking San Diego? Raise their hand.
I'm halfway. There's only one reason why I'm picking half.
Okay, pull him down.
Ben Raymond is on the side.
All right.
So, I mean, yeah, I'm going to pick Ontario. But if San Diego wins, the Ron Newman Cup may come back to Utica for a day or two, and that would be nice. But
So I'm like mixed, man. It's like
Look what Adam Grosskreutz typed. He typed Dallas in.
that's what, let's go. Sidekicks, baby. No, but seriously, it's like I'm like I don't know, man. I'm like mixed. It's I want Ontario to win their first ever Ron Newman Cup, but at the same time, I don't want the Sockers to win their 15th, but
then just pick Ontario.
I like their players. So it's like
We have really good players.
Yeah, we do too.
Wait, hang
no,
on.
but like
No.
on a personal level,
Wait.
We were talking about
Skills track
personal
record.
level earlier, right? So like I have a personal relationship with a lot of the players, so it's like it's tough, man. It's tough for me.
All right, then just pick the Sockers because we know your track record. And picking games isn't really.
There you go. Yeah.
First of all, I have the best postseason record.
You still pick Dallas.
No, I picked a Cali playoff. Can we all? I'm gonna make a video of my postseason.
Dallas. That
was for kicks and giggles. That was like that movie. That was like that movie Kicking and Screaming. But in reality, I gave my real shout outs.
All right.
It was a Cali final all the way.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Cliff and Lucy both pick Ontario. They are in Disneyland or Disney World right now, enjoying all things
Right.
Disney World in Florida. I will say I'm picking Ontario, but there is something to be said for this weird soccer's magic. And if San Diego can pull off a game at home with Craig Elston announcing it, there's something magical about that where they just kind of pull out these wins that come out of nowhere. But I'm still sticking with Ontario. I just think if it turns out to be a game apiece, let's expect a mini game. We'll just say that.
So I'll say this. the person I've requested a jersey from already knows who I picked because I only requested this from one person.
What is that supposed to mean?
Yeah.
So next Monday, not next Monday. Next Monday, I will reveal who I asked, and hopefully the Monday after that, I will have the jersey.
Okay.
So
And they know who they are. They know who they are because I only asked one person.
So Matt, you said
I said Ontario.
because Ben, you're leaning towards San Diego. Marcio is a great friend of all the Wave fans. Coached my daughter one season, part of a season. We have a lot of love for Marcio. He's on San Diego. I was a San Diego fan for a long time. They were like my number 2 team, and it was only because there was a bunch of Wave players playing for them. So now they're kind of moving around, and there's more Wave players on Florida than there are San Diego at this point. But I'm still going with Ontario. I think the momentum is there. I think the perseverance is. They've obviously shown they can win tight games. They've shown they can beat the best, and I think it's going to happen.
I will get.
What do you think?
Yeah, right.
What do I think?
I'm gonna get Hannah's pick and post it on the in the box, or we might even go live. I don't know yet on Friday.
Yeah, so
I think you guys should just hop a flight and come out here. That's my take.
Stop. Because I've been trying to reschedule this freaking meeting for a week now so I can make it out there.
So you use Outlook, right, Gio?
Yeah.
Just right click, decline. Problem solved.
No, it's my year review.
Oh. Well then
it's Friday.
So just say something came up, I have to go visit family because MASL is a family.
Yeah.
On the West Coast, and I can't get out of it because I have to go visit family.
So
your cousins Filly and Panda need your presence.
Yeah.
See, that's a good one because I'm like on the borderline. I'm gonna call in sick.
Gio, this is an intervention. Okay, let's just go over the things you have missed this season. You have missed the All-Star game. You have missed the semifinals.
How sad is that?
And then this.
So I had tickets to the All-Star game, but I was on the fence like, hey, they're going to cancel the tournament. Oh, hey, they're not going to cancel the tournament. A day before the tournament, they canceled it.
So what happens, Gio? Let's just say what happens. You wake up Friday morning, you're like, oh, I got this review, do. And then your boss is like, oh, well, I'm going to cancel the meeting.
I would quit.
Right. Problem solves itself.
I look at it this way. Growing up and being a fan of bands like Stone Temple Pilots and Velvet Revolver, I missed out on the opportunity to go see them because I thought, you know what? They'll roll around again. Well, Scott Weiland died, and that just didn't happen.
You know what's funny? I was on the same boat with Linkin Park. I was like, Linkin Park will come back. Linkin Park will come back.
Yeah.
Linkin Park's never coming back.
So you learned the same lesson I learned. This is history. One way or another, regardless of what team wins, they're going to cap off the strangest and most, hopefully, the weirdest and craziest year in the history of the league. The boys mentioned it. You missed the All-Star game. You missed the semifinals. And I'm actually talking to all of you.
Philly, stop. Don't join in on them.
The memory will last you a lifetime. The review will last you minutes.
I'm still
next quarter.
I'm officially out. I'm still flying high from last weekend. And
look, no, that's an excuse. That's an excuse.
Plus, I got the kids.
No. You're in the same boat.
Kids.
This is the first time 2 West teams will play. This is the first time it's been Ontario's Ron Newman's Cup. No, you're still in it.
No, I got my kids this weekend. I gotta.
Can I also tell you it's going to be in like the mid to high 70s?
79.
Look, Matt, if you go, I'll buy one of your kids' tickets. You just buy the other one.
No.
See, look, how does it feel, Matt?
You're saying 58 and rain is not a good alternative to 79 and sunny?
What's rain?
What's rain?
It was 70s in Kansas City.
It was 76 here today.
Yeah.
But however, it's April
All right,
5th.
We need a better.
There's a good chance we'll still have to remove snow before summer hits, because we don't really have spring. We have like a couple days of this weird fall spring, and then we have more winter, and then we go right into summer sometime in May.
Oh no, we're in spring. We're 100% spring.
We don't get spring here.
The day I left to go out to Kansas City for the semifinals, Gio, it was 30 degrees and snowing. So
Really?
There's still time.
No, it's spring now.
So we've had.
Look, we need a corn dog. We need an in the box representative in California. Otherwise, the finals. Can we really call them the finals without somebody from in the box here? Come on. The semifinals were legit because one of you guys were there. The All-Star game was legit because you guys were there. Come on, make the finals fantastic.
It has to be Gio because I can't.
What?
Gio.
We'll know tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, make the decisions. Yeah, after we know what the deal is.
Because that may change some.
Yeah, we don't know what the deal is yet.
I'll say this. If the dates change, I'm 100% there.
So
if the dates don't change, I'll know tomorrow.
How's your relationship?
So would that
with
mean
your
you're
manager?
99%?
95.
How's your relationship with your manager?
Oh, I can call out. I told Philly. I told Philly I can call out.
No.
The thing is, I want to know, like, because I'm getting a new manager after June.
So you don't even care what this manager has to say?
No, I do, because I actually really like this manager.
So go to this manager and say, "Hey, I have this once in a lifetime opportunity. The games are this weekend. It's not like we can reschedule them. But I need to be gone Friday and I won't be able to make this. Can we reschedule this to Wednesday or Thursday or next week? Because this is really."
Well, I told Philly, depending on what happens, I'm going to talk to my manager and I'll know tomorrow.
All right.
Did I not say that, Philly?
Zoom him from somewhere? You did, but couldn't you just Zoom your manager? Like, do you have to be in front of him?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I haven't seen my manager since July, and that was at a bar, and I haven't seen her in person since January of last year.
McCormick's on this big trip that, like, we all have to return to the office because we're all 8 feet apart.
Yeah, I don't get this. So your review is via Zoom. I don't.
No, it's not via Zoom.
Oh. Well.
Should be via Zoom.
Should be.
Yeah, maybe work that out with him. Just say, hey, look, I'll do the review whenever you want. It just either might be via Wi-Fi on an airplane or somewhere else.
Tomorrow we'll know.
All right, that's fair enough.
No decisions until everything is announced. And so
there you go.
No.
Thank you.
Because I've got schedules. I think I have to move my schedule around regardless. So I have to figure out when. I don't even know. So I'm just at a standstill right now.
Thank you.
Well, when we see you when the final happens, we're gonna hang out. We're gonna have some fun.
Thank you.
But notice I said when we see you when the final happens.
And I said thank you.
Yeah,
okay. Sure, I'm subliminally going. You're coming.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, guys. I think we gotta wrap this up.
Ding dong.
Philly Panda, thank you so much for joining.
Good
we really
night.
appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, guys.
Always a pleasure.
Have an incredible week.
Yes. Soak it all in.
All right.
Definitely.
How do we do
Good
this?
night, everyone.
Hasta la pasta. See you guys later.
All right, see ya.